Massachusetts and
Hey
Massachusetts.
folks,
And give the
US set on the radio now. Currently, Gino, the one and only, is introducing all of our platform crew for today. And once they step out of the way of the camera, we will share with you. Welcome to the 2024 USA Powerlifting New Hampshire State Championships. We're here in Nashua, New Hampshire at the DoubleTree Hotel. And we are getting ready to have Marita Hebert take the platform. As you can see, Gino is getting everybody hyped up for our very first lifter of the day. And she's excited to take the platform. This is her very first career meet, Marita. And she is a youth lifter, 12 to 13 age group. And that's pretty incredible, honestly. You know, makes her first attempt look like lightweight. And the judges think so too. They think it's good. 3 white lights. So what you'll see today going through the meet is everybody will be taking 3 attempts at the squat. These attempts are for us to try to build as big of a squat as we possibly can on the day, and we get 3 chances to take a big one. So Marita solidified her first squat, and she's going to go up for her next one. Now we have Kimberly taking the platform. Kimberly's first squat attempt will be for 50 kilos, which is 110 pounds. And it looks like 2 of the judges say it's good for 2 white lights. The other side judge, the right side judge, gave a red light for what looked to be depth. And that just means that when Kimberly squatted, the hip crease, the top of her hip joint, did not go below the top of her knee. So she'll likely go up for the next attempt, but she'll want to make sure she really sinks them moving forward so she can continue to get at least 2 white lights. Up next, we have Taryn Turcotte, who, fun fact, just competed last weekend at the 2024 USA Powerlifting Main State Championship. So she's out again to show out and really see what she's capable of 2 weekends in a row, taking 97.5 kilograms as her opening squat attempt. It makes it look easy. And 3 white lights, the judges think it was good too. So that is 6 pounds above what above what her meet PR was going into last weekend. Last weekend she squatted 226, so only 10 pounds below what she squatted last weekend. We'll see how she finishes out for today. I think she's good for quite a bit more than the 215 she just hit today for her opener. Up next, we have Marissa, who is a repeat competitor for our Odyssey meets. This will be Marissa's 4th meet, her most recent being the Odyssey Barbell Club Classic in October of last year, which is Odyssey Barbell Club's, their big meet of the year. It's a weekend-long event, and that's typically held at Odyssey. Typically, the New Hampshire State Championships is also at Odyssey, but this year we are at the DoubleTree Hotel in Nashua, which is very exciting. It's a great venue, great energy here, and I hope Marissa is able to take advantage of all that extra energy on her opening squat today. She's taking 105 kilos, equivalent to 231 pounds. And she goes down with it, right back up, makes it look like she's got a lot more in the tank for today. She's on the board with her 231-pound squat, 3 white lights. Great work, Marissa. Up next is Patricia. Patricia is one of our masters lifters today. This will be Patricia's second career meet, her first one being the Connecticut Fall Classic last September 2023. Her opening squat today will be 107.5 kilograms, 237 pounds, which is just shy of her 242-pound meet PR. So she's already opening 5 pounds below her meet PR, which means her training has been going very well. As she sets up, unracks the weight, waits for the head ref to give her the squat command, down and then right back up. Racks it after being given the command from the head referee, and 2 white lights is all you need for a good lift. Again, you'll see that right-hand referee gave a call for depth, meaning her hip crease did not go below the top of her knee when she went down to the bottom of the squat. Up next, we have Melissa. Melissa is a 60-kilo masters lifter, most recently competing at the Odyssey Barbell Club Summer Open in 2022. So she's taken a bit of time off from competition, opening up with 242 or 110 kilos. This is about 10 pounds below her meet PR. So definitely hoping to see how much progress she's made in the long off season that she's had come out on the platform today. Comes right down, makes it look very easy, and then racks it after being given the command. 3 white lights. That's a great lift by Melissa. I think we're going to see a lot of weight added to her squat meet PR today. So while we're watching the spotters and loaders rack the weight for the next lifter, I'll quickly go over some of the rules for the squat. So the lifter will approach the platform once the weight is loaded on the bar. Once the side referees have determined that once she's unracked the weight, and the side referees have determined that her knees are locked and she's standing up straight, the head referee will give her the squat command, which tells her that she can just go ahead and squat. So once she gets the squat command, she'll squat down to the depth where her hip crease is below the top of her knee. Then she'll stand right back up and wait for the referee to give her the rack command. The referee is waiting for her knees to be locked or be standing upright in order to give her that rack command. So Nicole's walking up to the platform now, getting ready to take a 115-kilo opener, which is 253 in pounds. She's going to, as I described, unrack the weight, take a step back and get settled, and then once she's all locked out, she'll get the squat command from our head referee, Eric Cordero, today. Stands right back up, gets a rack command, and it's 3 white lights for Nicole, who's a veteran of the sport. She knows these rules very well, and she definitely demonstrated her strength on her opener there. So can't wait to see what she does for her next attempt. Next lifter is Brittany Hebert. Brittany's last competition was at the Stand Strong Spring Storm in April of 2023. Which is quite a hike from where we are here in Nashua. It's a few hours up in Maine. So definitely, she's not a stranger to traveling for meets. And she's getting ready to take this 120-kilo opener. And I have a feeling she's going to make this look very light today. 264 pounds, well below her meet total. So this should be lightweight for her. And indeed it is. Makes it look very easy with a very quick ascent. 3 white lights. Hopefully she puts at least 5 to 7.5 kilos on her next attempt selection there, because that looked very easy. Danny, or Danielle, as you guys see here, is coming out to the platform to take her opening squat. This is her first meet back since having her son. And she is also a USA Powerlifting New Hampshire State referee. So she is no stranger to the rules of the competition here. And she knows that her first squat just got to be something that she can easily hit on any day. And that's what she's picked for today. It's 264. And she settles out nicely. Squats down. No denying depth on that squat. Gets right back up and racks it. And yeah, undeniably good attempt with 3 white lights. She knows what she needs to do and where she's going to go for her next attempt to get as big of a squat on the day as she possibly can today. For those of you guys who've joined since I introduced myself this morning, my name is Liz, at LizardLifts on Instagram, and I'll be your commentator for the live stream today. I am a New Hampshire state referee for USA Powerlifting, so I'm going to try to sprinkle in some of the rules here and there as we see people taking their squat attempts. Maybe you guys have questions about the referee calls, maybe you guys have questions about how the meet runs in general. Feel free to put those in the chat, and I will answer them as soon as I can get to them. Catherine makes her 127 kilo opener look very easy. We'll see what the judges think. So it looks like we got one red on the side. I'm imagining that's for depth. Sometimes with lifters with a wider stance, it can be harder to see depth because their hip crease can kind of, depending on the angle of where their hip opens, it can look different from different angles. So our side referees are looking for that depth, and sometimes with those wider stances, it can be harder to see from the side. And here we have Jordan Levesque, who is also no stranger to competition, taking 127 kilos for her opening squat. Nice and controlled descent, and controlled descent as well. And she's smiling. I mean, she's happy because her lift is good, 3 white lights. And here comes Shannon. So this is Shannon's first USA powerlifting meet, but she's no stranger to the competition. Shannon has, let's see, at least 4 competitions under her belt in the USPA Federation, all drug tested meets, and she's coming in with the highest ranked dots of 441. So she's definitely one of the favorites to win the women's session today. But we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We've still on first squat attempts here. So 132.5 kilograms is Shannon's first squat, coming out to 292 pounds. Incredible control. And it looks like she could have squatted that for at least 5 reps, honestly. But it looks like depth was a little bit questionable. And again, that could be due to the way that her stance is. It's harder to see depth from the side when you have a little bit of a wider stance like that and your hips are more externally rotated. So I know she'll go out and she'll really sink it on the next one and make it undeniable for sure. Here we got Brooke Reynolds. Brooke is definitely a fan favorite in the Honesty Barbell Club world, where she trains. She also trains often at Titan Barbell down in Stoneham, Massachusetts. And she's opening with 147.5 kilograms or 325 pounds. And basically pauses her opener. So there's no way they wouldn't have seen depth because she paused right down there in the hole, and that was great. You don't have to pause. That's definitely extra credit there for her. But yeah, she made that opener look very easy, and we're excited to see how much weight she can put on the bar there. And now we're back to the top of the order for Flight A with Marita again, who will be taking a 45 kilo squat at 99 pounds. Again, this is so impressive, having someone of this age coming out on the platform. You see the spotlights on the platform, and she's just coming out, and she's excited and happy to be here. I spoke with her earlier today. And anything she does today is going to be impressive, but definitely makes that depth look very impressive. Makes the 99 pounds look like 0, and 3 white lights for her. She's very excited. So that must be close to a PR for her. We'll see what she loads for her 3rd attempt, because she certainly had some more gas in the tank there. Up next, we have Kimberly, who's taking a 57.5 kilo squat. As you can see, she's squatting in the women's raw guest division. All that means for today, folks, is that she is not a resident of the state of New Hampshire. So this New Hampshire State Championship meet is open to all lifters, regardless of where you live. But if you live outside of New Hampshire, you won't be able to place in the standings today, so you'll be lifting in the women's raw guest division. That's all that means. You see Kimberly up to the platform, getting ready to unrack the bar. definitely bringing the intensity today. This is a 7.5 kilo jump from her opener, so she's definitely feeling good on squats today. And fights through it. What a grind. That was a great grind. You can see she, lost her balance a little bit at the bottom of the squat, but she is determined to stand up with that weight, and she did. We'll see what the judges think about it. It looks like because of that weight shift at the bottom I mentioned, she did not quite hit depth, but that's okay. Hopefully she will retry that weight and make it look easier. Hopefully she won't lose her balance in the bottom of the hole there in the next one. Here comes Taryn, who, as you guys might remember, competed just last weekend, and she's already, her second attempt, 231 pounds. That's 5 pounds above what her meet PR was from her previous meet. And completely demolishes it. We'll see what the judges think, but from my angle, that looked great, and the judges agree. So she's already 5 pounds above her meet PR that she set just last weekend, with plenty more in the tank. I spoke with her in the warm-up room as she was getting ready for squats today, and she wasn't sure how today was going to go, and clearly it's going her way, so that's very exciting and encouraging to see. Up next, we have Patricia, who is another one of our guest lifters with 112 kilos on the 112.5 kilos on the bar, 248 pounds. This is already 6 pounds above her meet PR, 242. And judging that she's taken it for a second attempt, her training has definitely been going well since the last time she competed in September. Lots of control going into the hole, stands back up with it. Let's see what the judges say on that one. Yeah, 2-1. So in order to get her third, 2-1's all you need, 2 wide lights, but in order to get her third, she'll just want to make sure that she squats at least to that depth on the next one and doesn't cut it any higher than that. Up next, we have Marissa, who gets her coaching from Odyssey Barbell Club, sometimes trains at Odyssey as well. This is her 4th meet. Her most recent was the Odyssey Barbell Club Classic in October. And she's definitely got a lot of friends and fans here today in the crowd and in the warm-up room. The strong unrack here. She's confident. She knows exactly how this 248 pounds is going to move. And it's moving well today. Looks like a good lift for Marissa. Hopefully she goes up at least another 5 to 7.5 kilos on the next attempt, but we will see what Amanda puts in for her. Yeah, 7.5 kilos is our next attempt, and I like that as well. Up next, we have Melissa. Melissa's most recent meet was in 2022, as I mentioned earlier. And her opener was pretty close to her meet PR. This second attempt is 6 pounds over her meet PR, which is 253. So she's definitely had a strong off season, and she's definitely looking to get a big meet PR today on squats. She's got a nice narrow stance, sinks it real deep, makes it look so easy. 2 times body weight for a master's lifter, makes it look good. So, now that's good for a 6 pound meet PR, and she's definitely got some in the tank. So we'll see where she goes from there. Coming up next, we have Brittany Hebert. This is actually her 8th competition, and you can kind of tell as she walks up to the platform, she knows what's going on. She's cool, she's calm, she's collected. She knows exactly how this 270 pounds is going to move today. And this is only 11 pounds below her meet PR as well. Unracks the weight with lots of control. Takes a minute to get settled to make sure that she's got control, and then squats, and we'll see what the refs say. It looks like 2-1, no good, and that just looks like The blue card from the center on that red light, meaning she either wasn't quite locked out when she started, or she had some up and down movement on the bar during the ascent. And you guys might have seen that as she started the lift, when she unlocked her knees and relocked her knees, the bar did go up and down after giving the start command. So that's what that's going to be for, unfortunately. But I think she should. I think she should go up because I think that squat was easy for her and she just lost her balance at the top. But we'll see what her handler says. Up next comes Danny. Her first, I remember, was a little slower than some would have liked for an opener, but I don't watch Danny train, so maybe all of her squats are a little bit more on the grindy side, and I know she's been competing since 2015, so she knows her way around a heavy squat. And I think this looks better than her opener, to be honest. She made that 270 move so fast. And what a great call by her and her handler today, and I think she's got at least 5 kilos in the tank, if not 7.5. So I hope she really goes for it today. One of the great things about commentating this live stream is, some meets, the folks who are commentating the live stream are nowhere near the platform. All they can see is the same view that you guys can see here. But I'm actually right off to the side of the platform, so I'm able to see all the lifter celebrations and see all the lifters walk by, and you can see a lot of them are really excited to be here this morning, even though it's still quite early, 9:20. And they're out here squatting, and they're having a lot of fun, and that's great to see. Nicole taking 125 kilos. Very nice, smooth, controlled attempt for her. And 3 white lights. So I hope she takes a good sizable jump for her next attempt because I think she's got a lot in the tank there. Bars loaded for Catherine Sweet. She's going to approach the platform to take 132.5 kilos for her second attempt squat. Yeah, and makes that look incredibly easy. We'll see what the judges say on depth. Yep, we've got one judge, and I'm on the same side as the right-hand judge as well. So I can definitely see why that, one side was a little bit high, but I think even still two white lights is all you need. So I think going for the next one, she's still got a lot in the tank as long as she can make sure that she squats to that same depth or lower. Here comes Jordan Levesque. This is Jordan's third competition. It's her second USAPL competition. The first time I saw Jordan compete was actually her first competition at the RPS New Hampshire Vermont State Championships in Concord. And I will tell you right now, she is set up to blow away those numbers from that meet and from her most recent meet. 297 is what she has on the bar for her second attempt here, 135 kilos. But her meet PR is 303 pounds, so she's only 6 pounds shy of that right now, give or take. And judging by how that moves, looks like she might have just lost her balance a little bit there. I hope she goes back and retakes that because I think it's definitely within her wheelhouse. I think she can definitely hit that on her next attempt if she tries again. Coming up is Shannon with 2.5 times body weight squat, which is unfathomable for me. Something that if I could ever squat that much in my career, I would be over the moon and I would immediately retire. Squat is one of those lifts that's just can be really challenging for some people. It can be a real mental game. As you can imagine, you've got all this weight on your back, and the thought of being crushed by that weight is definitely tough for some people to overcome. But Shannon seems to have no problem with that. Makes it look so easy, 303 pounds. Another red light on the side from depth, but again, sometimes it kind of looks like that from some angles based on where the referee is sitting and the stance of the lifter. And here we have coming up Brooke Reynolds, who will be closing out the second attempts on Flight A. After her squat, we'll be moving into third attempts on Flight A. Here comes Brooke, veteran of the game, been to nationals before. She knows the drill here. You may know her as Power Brookie on Instagram. She's definitely ready for this meet. She did not have to cut weight at all for this meet, which is definitely a more comfortable position to be in, not having to make sure you make weight. You can have breakfast. You can fuel for the day, and you can see that fuel working hard for her here. She makes her second attempt look great. Got a little slow there, but definitely was able to push through it. And since she's such a veteran of the game, she'll be able to find that second gear and put something on the bar to get close to a meet PR for her. With that, that ends our second attempt squats, and we'll be moving into third and final attempts on squat. So this is where you'll see lifters attempting the heaviest squat of the day, for themselves anyways. And this is where they're going to try to really get every last kilogram or pound out of their squats so they can really build their total. Their total is their biggest squat plus their biggest bench plus their biggest deadlift, and that's what makes up the total. So hopefully Marita really, totally crushes her third attempt squat. Her confidence has to be through the moon, even despite getting one red light. 2 to 1, 2 white lights is all you need. It looks like she may have moved before he said rack, but that's okay. The other two refs didn't quite catch it, and they gave it to her, and that's awesome. I bet she feels super great about that squat, and I can't wait to see what she puts on the bar for bench press. The bar is loaded for Kimberly, who will be taking 57.5 kilograms. As you can see, she's just going out there, lifting with a vibe. She doesn't need any extra equipment. She doesn't need a belt. She doesn't need knee sleeves. She's just going, and she's just going to squat with all the brute force that she has built up with all of her training. Judging by how her last attempt moved, I think this one might be a fight, but I think she's ready for it. As long as she can maintain her brace and keep her balance. What a scrap for Kimberly. We'll see what the judges say. So again, that's a no lift on depth, which was the same issue she had, the same fault that she had for her second attempt. But even still, that was such a scrappy squat, and I hope she's proud of hitting that, because that's something that a lot of lifters would have just given up on, and she didn't. She squatted it no matter what. And since she did make her opening squat, she is still in the meet, but she'll only carry 50 kilograms towards her total from her first opening squat. Here we have Taryn with a 253-pound squat, which is 25 plus pounds over what her third attempt squat was just last weekend. If you can believe that. And I think she's good for it. Look at that. She had at least 10, maybe even 15 pounds left in the tank. And that's unbelievable, competing 2 weekends in a row. Great work, Taryn. I hope she's excited. She looks excited, because that's a phenomenal squat. Great work by Taryn, and she'll be carrying that squat of 115 kilos into her total going into bench. Up next, we have Patricia, taking 259 pounds, or 117 kilograms. If I remember correctly, the one thing Patricia's got to look for in her squat attempt here is just making sure she squats to depth evenly on both sides. 2 to 1's all you need. That one, it looked close from this angle, but this angle is a very hard angle to judge depth from, admittedly. And it looks like all the referees from their angles said that she did not hit depth, unfortunately. But she did make her 125 kilo second attempt, so she'll be carrying that to her total going into bench press. And here we have Marissa taking 120 kilograms, being handled by Amanda Carlisle today of Odyssey Barbell Club. And this 264-pound squat. She's definitely ready. She's getting hyped. She's getting excited. She knows what kind of intensity she needs to bring to make this lift. This is well above her 248-pound meet PR squat, and I think she knows it. She's excited, and she is getting braced. Nice strong brace, nice strong fight, scrap through her sticking point, and stands right back up with 3 white lights for a good squat. That's great for Marissa. That's a big meet PR, and I bet she's really excited to bring that into her bench attempts and bring that to her total. Great work, Marissa. Now we have Melissa, not to be confused with our previous competitor, Marissa. Melissa will be taking 275 pounds for her third attempt squat. Her meet PR is 253, so this, again, another 20-pound meet PR. This is going to be great for Melissa as long as she makes it, and I hope she does. She looks strong. She looks composed. She looks collected and calm. Big brace and set. Nice and controlled. And yeah, there was no way she wasn't going to stand up with that squat, ladies and gentlemen. 3 white lights for Melissa. That's a great squat for her. 20-plus pound meet PR for her. I bet she's very ecstatic about that. I would be if I were her. Coming up next, we have Brittany. So I competed with Brittany back in January of 2023 at the Odyssey Barbell Winter Open, and she is so much fun to have in the warm-up room, I can tell you that, and I'm really rooting for her today. I want to see a big squat coming out of Brittany. Her meet PR is 281, and she's coming close to that with 275 today, but she's also handling her daughter, Marita. So I can imagine today she just wants to have fun and make sure her daughter has fun as well. And, you know, make as many attempts as she possibly can. It looks like she definitely made that squat. Yep, and the judges agree. 3 white lights. And that was up from her miss on 122. She went up to 125, and I think that was a good, safe call. All right, bar is ready for Danny. We have 275 pounds, same weight as the previous attempt on the bar today. This isn't quite her meet PR. 325 is her meet PR. But, you know, coming back from having a kid, and she's been sick the past few weeks, so she's just happy to be here, happy to compete, and happy to make her attempts. She's trying to go 9 for 9 today, as many of these lifters are. That means missing no attempts, getting as many attempts as possible, and stacking your chips, so to speak. She goes from squat to bench to deadlift. Up next, we have Nicole. Nicole, as you guys may recognize, she's a familiar face at these Odyssey New Hampshire competitions. This is Nicole's 10th meet, so she knows that this squat is going to be hard. This is her meet PR, and she makes it look easy. She probably had another 2.5 to 5 kilos in the tank, but meeting her meet PR, that was a really good, safe call. Good lift for Nicole, and she'll be bringing a meet PR match into her bench. Up next, we have Jordan. So Jordan is going to be retaking her 135, which she missed in her second attempt. We'll see how this moves. I think she might have lost her balance a little bit. Misgrooved, as we say in the industry. Maybe misgrooved her second attempt, so I'm hoping she comes back and she really solidifies her brace, takes her time, has some control of the weight going on the way down, which it looks like she does. And this one looks a lot better. A lot better. Good scrap. We'll see what the judges say about depth. From this angle, it doesn't matter. The lift looks good. One of the right referees sent out a blue card, which was probably for a little up and down on that scrap, but that's okay. 2 white lights is all you need. And that redemption for Jordan's got to feel great on 135. Up next, we have Catherine, who made a 7.5 kilo jump from her second attempt to her third, which is a pretty significant jump from second to third. So she must be feeling really good on the day. 140 kilograms or 308 pounds. Catherine's meet PR is 281. So again, we see people who are, coming up and they're showing out. 25 plus pound meet PR if she makes this attempt. Down and up, very easy. We'll see what the judges think on depth there. So 2-1, that's all you need. Borderline on the right-hand side, but that's okay. She got it. It's a great meet PR for Catherine. As we come close to the end of our third attempt squats for Flight A, we're going to move right on to Flight B, and they'll be taking 3 attempts at squat as well. Here comes Shannon, seated first by Dots for this meet. As she prepares to take 314 pounds, which would tie her meet PR. Wow, okay, great. What a great squat for her. Incredible, big celebration at the end. She probably had, 10 to 15 pounds in the tank, but I imagine one of the strategies that they have today is, making sure that she continues on with maintaining that top-seeded Dots and tying your meet PR. Who would be mad about that? Especially since this is her first USA Powerlifting meet officially. Great to see that she can squat to the same standards that we're looking for here, and yeah, great squat for her. Here comes Brooke. She's fired up. She's ready to go. Looking to take 374 for a spin, which I believe would be a considerable meet PR, and also 6 pounds above the best that she squatted in training. Her heaviest squat in training was 369 on the 12th of March, and 374 looking good for her, which is almost 20 pounds on the meet PR there, so that's exciting. She's hyped. Let's go. Let's go, Brooke. That's very exciting. Great for her. All the hard work paying off from her off season since the last time she competed. That's great. So Brooke was the last lifter of Flight A. Now we're moving on to Flight B. Allison will kick off Flight B for us with a 102.5 kilo squat or 225 pounds. This is kind of that milestone squat that a lot of people see in the gym when they're first lifting. We call it, 2 plates out in the gym when you're using 45-pound plates, but today we're using kilogram plates. And the red kilogram plates are 25 kilos or approximately 55 pounds. So that's why it looks a little different than what you guys would think when you think of a 225 squat. And she's taking this for her opener, so she knows that she's going to be, going well north of that today. Takes her time getting settled to make sure she sets herself up for a good attempt. Looks great. Spent some time making sure she hit depth there, which is great to see. We love to see that. And good squat for Allison. Up next, we have Christine, who will be taking the same 225 for her opener. And she's competing. It says she's competing in the women's raw with wraps division. But as you can see her knees. She's wearing knee sleeves. So she's not competing in wraps today, but she's registered in the raw with wraps division. That's not a big difference, but what you would normally see with someone with wraps is literally, it looks like an ace bandage, but different colors, different fun colors wrapped around their knee. And those can provide an additional stiffness and support for folks when they squat with wraps. And because those wraps provide a lot of support, they are in a different division. But she's wearing sleeves today. It looks like she didn't hit depth on that squat. But she did come down with a lot of control, so I think if she retakes that on her next attempt and make sure she sinks it just a little bit more, she'll be good to go. Coming up next, we have Anna, who is another competitor who just competed last weekend at the USA Powerlifting Main State Championships in Augusta, Maine. And she had a great day as well. She is opening today with 231, which is what she ended her meet with last Saturday. So she's very confident she has a lot more in the tank, opening with her meet PR from a week ago. Follows all the commands. We'll see what the judges say on depth. And it looks like depth wasn't quite there, so hopefully she can take that again and just sink it a little bit deeper. But it is understandable, you know, she just competed last weekend. She's probably still feeling a little bit stiff from that competition. So all she needs to do is squat a little deeper to make sure she stays in the meet. Coming up next, we have Alexis. Alexis. Taking 253 pounds for her opener. Her meet PR is 292. Her last meet was the USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals in Memphis, Tennessee, where she competed in the T3 division, or the Teen 3 division. And she placed third in the 181 weight class for the teens. Nice smooth opener for her. We'll see what the judges say. And one red light for depth. But 2-1. White, 2 white lights is all you need, folks. So she'll definitely go up for the next one and make sure she just sinks it a little bit. Coming up next is Emily Willard, opening with 264 pounds. This is Emily's second meet. Her first meet was the Boston Barbell Open last May. So she's had quite a long off season, almost a year, and just absolutely rocket ships that squat. Faster than an elevator, makes her opener look like it was just the bar. So hopefully she adds, 7.5 to 10 kilos on the next attempt so we can see what it looks like when there's actually weight on the bar for her. Coming up next, we have Jamie Smith. This will be Jamie's 5th meet. Her most recent meet was last November. It was June of 2022, the 2022 Massachusetts State Championship. And she's opening today with 286, which is just 11 pounds shy of her meet PR. So she's been had a long off season, and we'll see how that long off season manifested for her. Hopefully she's had some really good off season gains, being coached by Devin Tenney, who you can see crouching down here in the corner of your screen, looking for depth, looking to see how hard the lift was. Looked pretty easy to me. Devin likes it. We all like it. The judges like it. 3 white lights, and hopefully she goes up quite a considerable amount for that next one, because that looked great. Coming up next, we have Lindsay Thompson, who has been a quickly rising star since starting her powerlifting career in 2022. Her 7th meet since 2022. And she's looking to challenge Shannon for the top dot spot, coming in ranked at 438 dots. Her squat meet PR is 341, and she's opening with 303. So opening with something nice and conservative, making sure she doesn't miss, making sure she gets on the board to get at least 1 squat attempt today. But I have a feeling, since she's a veteran, she'll be making many squat attempts today, hopefully all 3. Braces for her opener and stands right up. Let's add some weight to the bar, Lindsay. That looked amazing. Great work by Lindsay. Coming up next, we have Lee. If you've been watching Odyssey Barbell meets, or any meet in general, since 2019, you probably recognize Lee's name. If I counted his open powerlifting correct, he has 28 meets under his belt, including some bench-only meets. But that 28 times on the competition platform, he knows exactly what this feels like to be standing under these lights and having to perform with this type of pressure, and it doesn't bother him whatsoever. Opening with 303, taking his time, calm, cool, collected. No big deal for Lee. You'll notice he definitely takes that with control. It doesn't move as fast as some of the other lifters do, but if you've watched Lee lift before, you know that he is one of those more controlled lifters. And he has another gear for grinding out squats, grinding out lifts, so we know that there's plenty left in the tank for Lee. Coming up next, we have Abby taking 142.5 kg or 314. This is that kind of milestone 3-plate lift if you're just lifting in a normal gym. And she's taking it for an opening attempt. Good for her. This is going to be her second meet, her first being the Massachusetts Spring Classic in April of last year out in Springfield. So she's definitely a long way from home if she's from Massachusetts, potentially a long way from home, although Nashua is just right over the border. And she normally trains at Reality Training Co. in Tingsboro, so she might be a lot closer than we would think. Her coach, Kelly Wetmore, at Kelly Fitmore on Instagram, definitely piqued her well for that. That was a great squat, great opener, great attempt selection for an opener as well, and hopefully she adds 7.5 to 10 kilos to that for her second attempt. And here comes Matthew. This will be Matthew's 6th meet. His most recent meet being last year's New Hampshire State Championship. He is opening with a 380-pound squat, where his meet PR is 396. So obviously his training over the past year has been going really well, opening only 16 pounds below his meet PR. He's hoping to get a 400 dots today, and he's very close in the 390s on his dots, so he's really hoping to capture every kilo he can on the platform today. And that opening squat is a good step in the right direction. Coming up next, we have Dennis. Dennis is opening with 396 in the Masters 40-plus division, the 75-kilogram weight class. His meet PR is 429. So we're hoping we can see him beat that today, since he's opening with almost 400 pounds. He's been competing since 2016, so he's among one of the veterans who've been competing here the longest today. We have only a couple people who've been competing here for longer than him, so he definitely knows exactly what's expected of him on this opener squat, which is something that he can hit on any day, no questions asked, and it looks like he did just now. 2 white lights is all you need. Looks like he got a red light for depth from the right side judge. Again, with some of these folks with their wider stances, depending on where you're sitting on the side, those wide stances can be deceiving. Sometimes the depth looks there, sometimes it's not, just depending on the angle that you're at. Coming up next, we have Anna, who's going to retake her opening squat of 105. Hopefully she can sink it just a little bit deeper today, so she can stay in the competition. Yeah, no question there. Basically paused it. We'll see what the judges think, but from my angle, it looks okay. The judges still don't see depth there. That's something that she's gonna have to try for her third attempt to really sink it, really make it convincing. Again, you can see this angle is not super great. We're kind of like on a diagonal angle. We're really looking at people's knees here, which is not a super great angle for looking at the hip crease if you're looking at the knee. So hopefully Anna can just sink that a little bit more for her third and stay in the meet. Now we're taking Christine is taking 175 kilograms or 237 pounds. We're hoping she can hit depth on this one. Yeah, makes that very undeniable. Big scrap on the way up. We'll see what the judges think. Yeah, it looks like she racked that just prior to getting the rack command. You can see she kind of hesitated after she took the step there. Hopefully she retakes that on her third attempt to stay in the meet. Both her and Anna looking to make their third attempt so that they stay in the meet. Coming up here, we have Allison Hamill, who's looking to take 242 or 110 kilos for her second attempt squat. It's definitely got to be nerve-wracking following up 2 misses, but hopefully she makes this, and hopefully that doesn't affect her confidence too much. Yeah, she's definitely there, making sure she makes her depth known. 3 white lights. It's a good squat for Allison. Nice tempo control squat. We'll see how much they add for the second attempt. She's not anything if not controlled on her squats here. All right, bar is loaded for Alexis, a 125 kilo squat, just 275 pounds. This is 17 pounds shy of her meet PR. We'll see how this moves. If I remember correctly, her opener moved pretty strongly, so hopefully this one moves the same. Definitely a smooth squat. We'll see what the judges say. 2-1, 2 white lights. Looks like, you know, as you guys can see, the judges are being very, making sure the lifters are very honest with their depth today, as that's what that last red light was for Alexis, was for depth. So hopefully the lifters are paying attention to that and making sure they really nail depth on the platform today. This is the New Hampshire State Championships, so we want to make sure these lifters are all lifting to the standard that we expect. Emily taking 130 kilos, 286 pounds for her second attempt. And this is already 5 pounds above her meet PR, and she just zoomed that right up to the top. I don't know, add another 10 kilos, like, I don't know what to say. That moved way too fast. But we'll see what they put in. Here comes Jamie. Jamie taking 303, which is 5 pounds above her meet PR of 297. Lots of meet PRs on second attempts here today, which is very encouraging to see. Great to see how people are going to be competing throughout the course of their session today. Hopefully lots of PRs around the board. Remember, Jamie's opener moved very well. And this is a 7.5 kilo jump, looking almost exactly the same as her first attempt. So if I were Devin, I would go up at least 5 to 7.5 kilos for her third attempt. 5 definitely would be the conservative approach. We'll see what Devin puts in. And 5 is what Devin put in. That's great to see. Here comes Lindsay, taking 150 kilos or 330 pounds. Coming right up to, you know, slowly approaching her meet PR, which is 341. She's about 5 kilos shy of that. We'll see how this moves. I have a feeling it's going to move very well based on how her opener moved. This is a big jump from her opener, 12.5 kilo jump. And yeah, second attempt moved very well as well. 3 white lights, so the judges agree. It's a great lift. And we'll see how much she goes up from there, because she definitely still has a lot in the tank for that. Coming up next, the one and only Lee Rogers. Most recently, Lee competed at the Arnold in 2 bench-only events. His most recent full power meet was the Odyssey Barbell Club Classic last October. So it's been a while since he's peaked his squat. I assume he didn't peak for the bench-only meets at the Arnold, but we'll see how this squat goes. Very excited to see him grind this one out, per usual. And he is competing in the Open today, the 67.5 kilo class, which is 148 pounds. So this is huge. This is a huge squat, and he made it look arguably easier than his opener. We'll see how much he goes up. His meet PR is 341, and I definitely think he has that. It sounds like that was a New Hampshire state record. Great work, Lee, for capturing that record, and hopefully we can bring it up even further on this third attempt. And here comes Abby. Her first meet, she totaled 892 pounds, which is very impressive for a first-time lifter, and it's been almost a year since she last competed. So very interested to see what she does. This squat, 341 pounds, is already 5 pounds above her meet PR, 336. So she's definitely on today, for sure. We'll see how this goes. As you can see, sometimes the lifters are kind of like hitting the weights off the uprights as they walk the squats out. That's pretty normal, especially on this type of combo rack or combination rack. This Rogue rack is a little bit wider sometimes than the racks that people may be used to competing on. And sometimes lifters can get a little tripped up by that and accidentally hit the weights on the rack. There's no penalties for that. Sometimes it just shakes the lifters up and they need a little bit extra time to settle down before they take their squat, but it doesn't look like it affected Abby at all. That was a great squat. Here comes Matt with a 402 squat for his second attempt. This is 5 kilos above, 2.5 kilos, excuse me, 2.5 kilos above his best. I'm gonna keep switching back and forth between kilos and pounds to confuse everybody. His best meet PR is 396 and smokes it. So 2.5 kilo PR already, ready for more. I saw on his Instagram he posted a 415 squat on the 17th. So he's definitely got more in the tank. I think tracking towards that 415 squat would be appropriate for him today. We'll see what he selects for his third and final squat. Here comes Dennis with a 419 pound squat, 190 kilos, his best being 429 pounds. So we're creeping right up to that PR. This is over 2.5 times body weight for Dennis, which is impressive when you're a master's lifter. We'll see how he handles it. Definitely taking his time, which is a good thing to do, especially when you have over 2 times body weight on your back. But totally controlled. Loses his balance a little at the top, so that will be a no lift. But that's okay. He stood up with it, and we'll see if he goes up for the next one. The only issue there, him being losing balance. So the strength was definitely there. Here comes Anna. Anna needs this squat to stay in the competition. The crowd is all cheering for her. One of the great things about powerlifting events, it doesn't matter if it's a stranger on the platform or if it's a friend. When you're in times like this, when you need your attempt, everybody's standing up and cheering for you. Will Anna be able to keep this squat? Fights for it. We'll see what the judges say. And unfortunately, it's a no lift. So some of the bar wobbling up and down, that would be the call there, is up and down motion of the bar, unfortunately. She can still choose to continue to lift. That's one of the nice things about USA Powerlifting. If you do not post a good squat, you can still lift. You can still bench press, you can still deadlift, but unfortunately, if you do not post a squat, none of the rest of your lifts will count towards a total. So it'll just be kind of effectively like gym PRs instead of official meet PRs. But it is good to still practice, you know, competing on the platform. So I hope she does continue on. And she did just compete last weekend. Here comes Christine. Christine needs this squat as well to stay in the meet. Everybody's cheering for her as well. We really hope she gets this. I hope she gets this. 237 pounds. All she has to do is squat to depth. Depth is there. Can she maintain balance through the scrap? Gets the rack command. What do the judges say? 3 white lights. That's a good lift for Christine. She is still in the meet today. That's very exciting. The crowd goes wild. Great work for Christine. That must be a huge relief for her as she takes 107 kilos to her total going into the bench press. All right, here comes Allison, taking 253 pounds for her 3rd squat. The lifters today have selected 3rd attempt songs that they like to kind of have them like hype them up for their 3rd attempts, and Allison has selected a metal song, and she's clearly getting hyped up by that. So 253 is what she's taking for her 3rd attempt. Her best squat being only 226, so this is a lot higher than her meet PR. And we'll see her squat down with control as she tries to find depth there and stands right back up with it. She is one of those lifters that, as you can see, squats with a lot of tempo getting to depth, and unfortunately she didn't make depth on that one. But the strength was definitely there, so hopefully she comes back and at her next meet gets revenge on that. And here comes Alexis with a 292-pound squat. Phil over here on the corner, just out of sight, cheering her on. 292 is her meet PR. Let's see if she can match that today. She's looking very confident. Taking a moment to settle herself before she gets the squat command, making sure she's in a strong position to take this meet PR for a ride. A little shaky on the descent, scrap through it. Unfortunately, wasn't quite able to make it today. She will take her 2nd attempt, going to bench, 125 kilos. That's okay. She still has the bench press and she still has the deadlift. And if she has a total goal in mind, maybe she can eke out a few more kilos on those lifts to get closer to the goal total that she's looking for today. Here we have Emily Willard, who took a 7.5 kilo jump from her 2nd to her 3rd, which I think is appropriate. Her 2nd moved very well. So I'm really hoping that this 3rd attempt moves just as well. 303 pounds on the bar. Squats for Emily looking seamless today. Definitely one of those really ballistic lifters, locks it out, gets the rack command. We'll see what the judges say. Amazing. Lift is great. Definitely with that lifting style, it can sometimes be hard at heavier weights to see, what the top end is. When you're moving so fast, sometimes it just looks easy, but feels hard, and I think that was a really good choice for Emily. Maybe had 2.5 more kilos, but great call by her coach, Devin. By her coach, Andy, excuse me. Here comes Jamie, taking 314 pounds. This is over 15 pounds above Jamie's meet PR. That's exciting for her. She's coached by Mr. Devin from TSP. Yeah, very smooth, great technique. Devin likes it, the judges like it, Jamie likes it. That 3-plate threshold crossed for her, very exciting. Next up, we have Lee taking his final squat, looking to break his own New Hampshire state record that he just set on his 2nd attempt. 336 pounds on the bar. This is a 2.5 kilo jump from his last, if I remember correctly. So just barely chipping his last record, but that's okay. Any kilos added to the total, any kilos added to a record, we like to see. Again, Lee just knows exactly what to do. He's a veteran here. Calm, steady, ready for the command. As you can see, slowing down doesn't affect Lee whatsoever, stands up with great form. Lift is good, 2 white lights is all you need. So that's another state record for Lee. Walking away with 336 pounds for the New Hampshire state record for him. That's great. We're on to our last 4 lifters of the morning squat session. Lindsay taking the platform with a 347-pound squat, which is 2.5 kilos above her best squat, or about 5 pounds above her best squat of 341 pounds. Unracks the weight with control. And grinds it back up. One thing about Lindsay, she's good for a grind, and today that's what she showed on the platform. 3 white lights, 2.5 kilo meet PR, stacking those chips, trying to challenge Shannon for the top spot today. Up next comes Abby with 363 pounds. This is almost 30 pounds above her meet PR, and will be incredible to see her crush that meet PR, considering her first ever meet was in April of last year, and her first squat was 336. And now she's taking 363 for a spin, settling before she gets the command. Little pause in the hole there, but had no trouble standing back up with the weight. We'll see what the judges say. And 3 white lights looked good for me as well. Great work, Abby. That's a massive meet PR. Big hug from her coach, Kelly Fitmore, on the side. As we move on to load the weight for Matt, 413 pounds, which is close to that top single he hit in training a couple weeks ago. And will be a good step in the right direction for him to meet his goal today for the meet of a 400 dots score. This is already, his second attempt was already above his meet PR, so we're just adding even more kilos to that meet PR today. Again, his meet PR is 396, and this is 413, so well above. Sounds like his training since the last New Hampshire State Championships he competed at has been going very well, and hopefully this squad is there to prove that. Very smooth, very controlled. And it's a good lift for Matthew. Looks like a 1 blue card on the side. I'm imagining that's for his knees either not being locked at the start or not locked at the end, but he got 2 white lights, and that's all you need. Here comes Dennis, the last squat of the morning for us, retaking 190 kilos. His last attempt, he lost his balance a little bit, which caused him to take a step back, or forward. I believe it was a step forward before he got the rack command. So hopefully he's better able to manage his balance on this attempt and he can make it. 418 pounds on the bar, which is no joke for this master 75 kilo lifter. A lot more control on the ascent. That one looks much stronger, and he definitely had a lot more on the day today, but 2 white lights is all you need for a good lift. Retaking that 190 kilo miss must feel great for Dennis. Great work by Dennis. So that will conclude our squats for the day. We're gonna take a 10-ish minute break while we set up for the bench press. We will be right back. We'll be back in about 30 seconds to start flight A of the bench press for session 1 today at the USAPL New Hampshire State Championships at the DoubleTree Hotel in Nashua, New Hampshire. All right. Welcome back, everyone. Here comes Marita, starting off session 1, flight A of the bench press. She's taking her first bench at 30 kilos, 66.14 pounds. This is her first meet, and the fact that she is in the youth category benching 66 pounds is completely impressive. And it's a good lift for her. A lot of times, the bench press is one of those lifts that first-time lifters sometimes have some hiccups on. There are 3 commands in the bench press, and that's what sometimes trips lifters up. After the lifter, like Kimberly is right now, gets on the platform, they'll unrack the bar, and then they have to wait to get a start command. They won't get that start command until their arms are locked, their shoulders on the bench, their butt is on the bench, and both feet are flat on the floor. So the side referees are looking for their feet to be flat, for their butt to be down, and their elbows to be locked. The front referee is looking for those elbows to be locked before they get the start command. You'll see Kimberly's taking a handoff. That is allowed. Sometimes some lifters like to have some assistance to unrack the bar. She got the start command. Now she's getting the press command, which is when the bar is motionless on the chest. Then the rack command when her elbows are locked back out of the top. Looks like Kimberly did it all right. 3 white lights for her opener. Good lift. Here comes Marissa after Kim, taking 99 pounds for her opener. Marissa's PR is 104 pounds, so she's already only 2.5 kilos away from her best ever bench press. You can see she's setting up here, getting right up on top of her traps. And she'll be taking a handoff as well. A lot of times you'll see some of these lifters with these real high arches, which is allowed. Need some help unracking the bar because it makes sure that their shoulders stay in a stable position for the press. And everything looks good from my angle for Marissa's first bench press. And the judges agree the lift is good. So, whatever she takes next, at minimum will be matching her meet PR, but I'm sure she's going to take a little bit more than that today. Coming up now is Patricia, taking a 110-pound bench press here for her first attempt. Patricia's best is 104 as well, so she's already opening with a meet PR. And the last time she competed was in September, so about a 6-month turnaround, and she's already PRing with her opener. Makes it look very easy. Some quick commands by head ref Eric Cordiero there because Patricia was very quick about meeting the standard for the start position, the press command, and the rack command. So great work by Patricia. Up next comes Danny. While I was babbling during one of her squats earlier, I said this is her first meet back since having her son. I misspoke, since having her daughter. So for her friends that are listening on the call or on the live stream, that was my bad. Am I rambling? For her first meet back since having her daughter, who is very cute, and she's here today. Not that she'll remember this, but she's here today cheering on her mom. It's very exciting seeing her with a 121-pound bench press opener. Looks good to me. 3 white lights, the judges agree. Great opener by Danny. Up next comes Melissa with a 126-pound bench press opener.
127 pounds for Melissa.
Melissa's best, again, another woman who's benching well above her meet PR for her opening attempt here. Her last meet was the 2022 Odyssey Barbell Club Summer Open, so she's had a lot of time off since her last meet, and I would expect to blow away her meet PRs today, and that's what she plans to do on the bench press opener here. Her best bench press is 115 pounds, and she's taking 126 for a spin on her opener with impeccable technique, great work, looks light to me, and looks like a great lift, and the judges agree. Up next, we have Jordan, the first woman today who'll be benching over that 1 plate milestone, or over 135 pounds. Here we have 138 pounds loaded up on the bar for Jordan.
137 pounds for Jordan.
Jordan's best bench press is 150 pounds. I saw her press 160 in training on her Instagram. In January and 170 by one in December. So definitely looking for some big numbers today. And that opener was just an easy, softball for her to just make sure she stays on the board and has a bench press that's locked in. But hopefully she'll take a big jump for her second attempt. A lot of times for the bench press, though, what I call a big jump on bench, I wouldn't necessarily call a big jump into the squat world. And that's just because the absolute load that we're putting on the bar for bench press is a lot lower than the absolute load for squat. So a big jump on bench for women may be 7.5 kilos or 5 kilos, where a big jump on squat may be 10 to 12.5, maybe even 15 kilos. So you'll definitely see some smaller jumps from first to seconds and seconds to thirds today on bench press. But all that means is it's just a relative percentage of the load. Great work by Nicole for her opener of 65 kilos. Up next we have Taryn. Again, Taryn just competing last weekend at the USA Powerlifting Main State Championships in Augusta, Maine, and she's back here in Nashua lifting as a guest lifter because she is not a resident of the state of New Hampshire. I'm assuming she's a resident of the state of Maine, which is why she did the Main State Champs last weekend. She's taken 148 for her opener. The meet PR she set just last weekend was 154. So this is already 2.5 kilos below her meet PR, and she just blows it up. So looking to take some big jumps hopefully from her today to put her meet PRs from just last weekend in the dust. Up next, we have Brittany opening with 154 pounds, where her meet PR is 171. I think with appropriate pacing, she'll definitely, be able to meet or PR that today, as long as she has some good attempts. You can see Brittany has somewhat of a closer grip as compared to other competitors. Just meaning her hands are a little bit closer together. She's going to be working her triceps a little bit harder than some of these lifters with a really wide grip and a really high arch. Those folks are going to be working more of their shoulder. But anything's allowed in the bench as long as you have your butt on the bench, your feet flat on the floor, your shoulders on the bench. Whatever form works for you is what it's allowed. So you'll see a lot of variation today for some of these folks on the bench press. Up next, we have Brooke opening with a 154, which you guessed it, is her meet PR. I saw her bench 187 a couple weeks ago in training, so she's definitely looking to put a lot of kilos on her meet PR today. And that all starts with making sure she nails this opener, which no doubt in my mind she definitely has. Great work by Brooke. Let's take a big jump for the next one, for sure. And after Brooke, we have Shannon. Shannon's last competition was in November of 2022, where her meet PR was 176, and she's opening with 165. So she's definitely looking to break her meet PR today on the bench press, because she's had a considerable off season to train and to do so. She trains at Free State Barbell Club over in Manchester, New Hampshire. as do some of our other competitors today. A little bit of a longer start command there. They're just waiting for her butt to be totally down and her arms to be locked, but once she did those things, she made smooth work of the weight.
80 kilos on the bar.
Up next comes Catherine, who's opening with 176, which is 5 kilos above her 165-pound bench press meet PR. The last time she competed was in September, so it's only been about 6 months since the last time she competed. And here she is, opening with 176, 5 kilos above her meet best. And I anticipate she's going to make a light work of this 176 today. No doubt her elbows were definitely locked on the start of that. Get some quick commands. We'll see what yep, and the refs agree. That was some great lifting, good lift by Catherine. You see the lights just changed a little bit on the live stream for you guys. One of the things that we notice as we're hosting these meets is sometimes the really cool lighting makes it a little bit more difficult to see butts down, heels down. It creates some shadows that make it harder for the refs to do their job. So for the bench press, we like to bring the lighting up just a little bit. It doesn't kill the vibes. I think the live stream still looks great. And it makes it easier for the refs to do their job too, which in turn makes it easier for the lifters to PR. Back to the top of the flight, we have Marita with a 71-pound bench press. Grinds it out a little and racks it. Let's see what the judges think. Judges think it's a good lift. You'll see Marita as well has like a closer grip, just like her mom. And those grips can be beneficial once you start to get toward those heavier loads. It's a little bit easier for you to grind out the weight with your triceps as compared to some of these lifters who have a really high arch and wide grip. Those lifters tend to fail more often off the chest. It's harder to grind out from that position. But Marita looks like she's still got at least 2.5 kilos for her. So well, hopefully she'll make that jump for her third attempt. Kimberly taking 77 pounds for her second attempt bench press. This would match her meet PR if she makes it. And very smooth, paced out well. And a good lift from the judges. I think she's got another 2.5 kilos. We'll see how she does on her third. Following Kimberly, we have Marissa, who is matching her meet PR on her second attempt with 104 pounds on the bar, 47.5 kilos. Judging by the way her opener moved, this is definitely a smart attempt selection by Amanda. You can see Marissa getting set up with her very technical setup here, making sure she gets high on her traps and gets her arch set, her upper back tight. Slowly puts her butt down to maintain tension throughout her entire thoracic spine. Pulls the weight down, presses it back up, a little sticky mid-range there, but she makes it. And I think she's still got 2.5 kilos in her. It's a good way to tie your meet PR on your second attempt and leave some in the tank to PR on your third. Up next, we have Patricia, who opened well above her meet PR. So, you know, it's all gravy from here on out, folks. She's taking 55 kilos for her second attempt, which is 121 pounds, 15 pounds above her meet PR. Having a great day so far. Nice smooth descent, translates over to a very smooth press, and 3 white lights is a good lift. Hopefully she goes up at least 2.5 kilos for her third bench press attempt. Now we have Melissa, who is taking 132 pounds, which is as close as you can get to 132, or excuse me, to one plate before actually going over the one plate mark. A little bouncy off the chest, so she gets a longer press command there. She wasn't able to make the bar motionless, and unfortunately failed that lift. Hopefully on the next attempt, she can get down to the chest a little bit quicker, keep the bar motionless, so she can get a faster press command. Up next comes Jordan, who is taking 148 pounds for her bench second attempt. Her best bench is 150 pounds, which isn't an increment that you can lift in the USA Powerlifting Federation because we use kilos. But if you guys remember from the squat session, I mentioned that she competed at RPS for her first meet, and they use pounds. So that 150-pound bench press was from her RPS meet last April. So she just got as close as she could. Good lift, I believe. And she'll go up and break that meet PR hopefully on the next attempt. Here comes Taryn with a 154-pound bench press attempt. This ties her best that she got last week, and that will likely be a no lift. It looks like she racked a little bit before the rack command. It was definitely a grind. This is the same weight, that she had to grind through last weekend, and she definitely has it for her next attempt. She's just got to make sure she listens to those commands, and she'll have it for sure. Now we have Nicole going for the same 154 pounds, 70 kilograms on the bar. This is just 6 pounds shy of her best, and presses it with ease. Hopefully she will, go for the meet PR at least on the next one. If she feels like she has more, maybe she'll go up 5 kilos. But 5 kilos is a pretty big jump for most women to take, especially a 67.5 kilogram lifter, where she's already benching well over body weight. So hopefully she goes up 2.5 kilos for the shore attempt. And here we have Brittany going for 72.5 kilograms or 160-ish pounds for her second attempt, which is pacing nicely for her to be able to match her meet PR of 171 on her third. We'll see how this second attempt moves. Nice tuck, moved honestly better than her first attempt, so she's definitely got the 5 kilos there to match her meet best. I think that would be a safe attempt selection for the next attempt, but we'll see. Maybe she'll take a 7.5 kilo jump to try to get better than her best. We'll see. Up next we have Brooke, also known as Power Brookie on Instagram. If you've been following her on Instagram for any time, at least for the past 2 weeks, you'll see that she took a 187 kilo single a couple weeks ago. So this 171-pound second attempt should be lightweight for her as long as her peak does what her peak's supposed to do, which I imagine, being coached by Odyssey Barbell Club, they've dialed in exactly how her peak's going to work. Self unrack, which some lifters do prefer. It kind of reduces the variability of having somebody else hand the weight off to you. It seems like there was some kind of snafu here. Maybe the rack heights, maybe... We'll see what the chief referee says. Her coach, Eric Lapointe, also our meet director for today, talking to the chief referee to see if we can get a relift, because there seemed to be some technical error here. So it looks like what happened is when she unracked the bar, as she was bringing the bar down, she clipped the rack on the way down, and was hoping that she could get a relift for that. But unfortunately, she had she didn't continue the lift to pause on the chest, and she re-racked it instead. So unfortunately, that will count as a no lift. Up next, we have Shannon with 80 kilos on the bar, 176 pounds. This will tie her meet PR in her second attempt, which is a great spot to be when you're trying to really set your meet PRs and stack those kilos to, total your PR, total your dots. Shannon's looking to secure first place for today. So if she gets this lift, it'll put her in a very good spot to do so, especially with some of the other competitors right on her heels. And makes it look just like an opener. By the second attempt, 3 white lights. Hopefully she goes up at least 2.5 kilos for her next attempt. But again, sometimes the difference between 2.5 kilos and 5 kilos for these smaller women could make or break your bench attempt. So maybe they go up 2.5 to guarantee that she makes her third. We'll see what she puts in.
85 kilos, 187 pounds.
Up next, we have Catherine, second attempt at 85 kilos, which is 20 pounds above her meet best, if you can believe that. So Catherine is having a phenomenal day, had a phenomenal off season, gets the handoff from the center spotter. A little bit of a sticking point right there off the chest, but she's able to overcome it and push through for 3 white lights and a good lift. A 20-pound meet PR, which is such a good feeling. I hope she goes up, 2.5 kilos and just stacks another couple chips on that meet PR. That'll be a great day for her if she does. And it looks like we have Brooke coming up. She's going to take a relift for her second attempt. The chief referee granted her a relift, which is a very nice thing that chief referees have the discretion to be able to do for lifters who sometimes have some of these technical snafus. So she's going to try 170 again for her bench second attempt. Very grateful that the chief referee, Eric Cordero, granted her that discretionary relift. It looks like this time the bar was stuck. The spotters and loaders, it looks like when they put the pins in for the rack height, one of them got stuck on the inner lip of the red Rogue plate that you see there. The inside of those plates have a lip on them, and if the pins stick too far towards the plate, then the plate can get stuck when you unrack it, and that's what happened to Brooke. So what we see happening now is they are bringing one of the uprights in to give her a little bit more wiggle room to unrack the bar. A lot of times for these hyper technical lifters, any sort of thing that's not correct can really throw a wrench in the plan. And you see Brooke demonstrating a lot of maturity here, just making sure that everything is what she needs and is correct, and she's following all the procedures to make sure that she can set herself up for a successful lift. A little bit of a hiccup there, coming down to the chest, but she still holds it down for the press command and presses it back up for a good lift. And she'll take it. She'll take it. And we'll see what she goes up for the next attempt. If it were me, I'm not sure if I would have been able to make that attempt. Truthfully, all the nerves and all of the curveballs being thrown her way for the second attempt is definitely not ideal, but she made it work. We'll see how it goes. Up next, back to the top of the order for Marita, taking her third attempt bench press, 77 pounds or 35 kilos. This is amazing. It wasn't too long ago that I couldn't even bench this weight, and I'm almost 30 years old, so great work by Marita. Bringing it down like tight lats on the chest, press, and scraps it out. Waits for the rack command like a pro, and gets 3 white lights. Ladies and gentlemen, here you have it. 77 pounds for Marita. What a good lift. Such composure. for someone so young. Lots of promise in the sport, for sure. And a big celebration from her parents as well, which is great to see. Here comes Kimberly, her home gym in Stony Creek. Her last competition was at the Connecticut Fall Classic in September of last year. This will be Kimberly's third competition, so she definitely knows what she's doing, and she's been demonstrating a lot of composure, especially for the bench press here. Unfortunately, fails off the chest. Sometimes that happens for third attempts, especially when the absolute load, and just 2.5 kilos is a big jump when your top set is 40 kilos. That's a big percentage of your top load. So unfortunately, sometimes these 2.5 jumps, even though it's the smallest jump you can make, are just a little bit too much for the lifters on the day. But she'll take away her second attempt going into her total for deadlift. And we move on to Marissa, who will be taking a 110-pound bench press, which is a 6-pound PR for her. Taking her time with her setup just to make sure that everything is correct. Brings it down to the chest with control. A little bit of a scrap, but she locks it out, waits for the command. We'll see what the refs say. Looks good. That's a new PR for her. I bet she's very happy. Gives Gino a high five on the way off the platform. That's got to be a good feeling. Here comes Melissa to take 132 pounds, which is as close to 135 as you can get before exceeding it when we talk about the kilogram conversions here. This is a 15-pound PR for Melissa, which is pretty impressive. Takes a handoff from the center spotter there. Takes a second to get set before the start. Presses, grinds it out. I think she's got it, and she gets it. We'll see what the refs say. And the lift is good. From this angle, I can't really see, if somebody has any butt up or if their feet slide or anything like that. But it looks like she didn't have any of that, and it was a good lift. Sometimes when you see some of these grinds, that's when your form starts to break down, and you can have a butt up or a foot slide. Foot sliding is allowed, but if you pick up your foot for some reason or like shuffle your foot, that would not be allowed. So we'll keep a lookout for those on third attempts. Obviously not from this angle, but that's what the refs are looking for. Here comes Patty, taking her third attempt of 132, 60 kilos. And makes it look smooth. That's a 28-pound PR for Patricia. I bet she's ecstatic. She just competed 6 months ago, too, so that's a huge PR in such a short period of time. Up next, we have Danny. Looking to take 143. Her coach is Hani from the Strength Athlete, helping her through this first meet back in quite a while. But she knows how to scrap, and she presses it out. She's another one of our lifters who competes out of Free State Barbell Club, but she also competes at her house a lot. She trains, rather, a lot at her house. And, that's sometimes one of the things you have to do. A lot of people who've been lifting since before COVID, in this case, in Danny's case, since 2015. During the COVID shutdowns, a lot of those folks built some gyms in their house so that they could still train through the lockdown, and Danny was one of those, and it's definitely been helpful for her to be able to continue training with having a small child around. Here comes Tanya, retaking 154, the same weight that tripped her up a little bit at the main state championships last weekend, but she knows what she needs to do. She needs to wait for her commands. She needs to really press it out and makes it look so fast. Waits for the rack command, and that'll be a good lift for Taryn. tying the meet PR she set just last weekend. Great show from Taryn so far. We'll see how she does on the deadlift. Here comes Jordan with 154 pounds on the bar as well. Her meet best is 150, so this is a 4-pound PR for her if she makes it, which it looks like she did today. Great work for Jordan. That's got to feel good. You know, that PR has been sitting for almost a year since her RPS meet in April, so, you know, I bet that's a good feeling for her to have broken that today. Next up comes Nicole to take her third bench attempt at 165. This is over body weight for her, which is a huge milestone for women and men included. You know, body weight bench is huge. This will be a 2.5 kilo PR for her if she makes it. A little bit of a hiccup off the chest there with the press command, and it looks like she wasn't able to overcome that hiccup. So she'll take her second attempt bench press as part of her total moving forward. But it was a good try by Nicole. Next up, we have Brittany going for 170, 171, I like to call it, which will tie her meet PR. Very strong position from Brittany. She had at least 2.5, maybe 5 more kilos in the tank, honestly. That was a great lift by Brittany. And a good feeling to hit a lift so strong for your third attempt and know you still have some in the tank. Great work by Brittany. Up next, we have Brooke. 181 is her third attempt selection here, which is something we've seen her hit at Titan Barbell during her meet prep. Hopefully she's able to unrack this with ease and not get stuck on the rack like she did for her second attempt. Looks like she's taking a handoff as well to kind of overcome some of those issues from her second attempt. And she looks sturdy and solid. I think this attempt will be very good for her. Yeah, great attempt by Brooke. Definitely another 2.5 kilos in the tank, but 82.5 was a very good call by Amanda, who's handling her today. Rather by one of the Odyssey Barbell Club. Soph Squats, I believe, is who's handling her today. Great way to overcome some adversity in her second attempts. Up next we have Shannon with 181 as well on the bar, 82.5 kilos, which is a huge lift for a 56 kilo lifter. Her coach, Eric Lapointe, also our meet director for today, looking on from the side as she takes this huge PR attempt. Makes it look incredibly easy. Honestly, easier than her second, I think. Definitely had some in the tank, but she's happy. She's happy that's a 2.5 kilo PR for her. Moving into the deadlifts. But before we get to Flight B of the bench press, we've got Catherine taking 203 pounds. 200 pounds is a huge amount of weight. It's a big milestone for many women in the bench press. And Catherine's over here trying to test to see if she can hit it. Her best bench is 165, so this is almost 40 pounds above her best bench press from September. Very controlled on the descent. A little bit of a scrap. It was a good try, not quite there on the day, but she'll take her second attempt, which was 85 kilos, 186 pounds, going into the deadlift. Up next, we have the start of Flight B bench. Emily will be leading us off for flight B bench 1
Allison.
with 126 pounds on the bar.
Bars ready for Emily.
Emily's best bench press is 115 pounds. This is only her second meet, and a lot of times we see with lifters who go from their first meet to their second meet, some big gains, what we call newbie gains. So very excited to see where Emily's bench press goes today with all these quote-unquote newbie gains that she's gotten since her last meet in May. 126 pounds on the bar for her opener. Makes it look easy. So her training has definitely been going well. Very excited to see where the top end strength is there for bench on the day. I hope she takes a 5-kilo jump for her next attempt.
Allison.
Coached by
132
Mr.
pounds.
TSP Andy himself. Allison Hamill out next with a 60 kilogram bench, 132 pounds on the bar. Her best bench press is 132 pounds, so this is a meet PR tie for the opener. Again, another one of these highly technical lifters trying to get very high up on their traps to maximize that thoracic extension, that extension or curvature of their upper back and middle back. This kind of helps reduce the range of motion for our lifters. And in powerlifting, when it's all about how much weight you can put on the bar, reducing range of motion can become an important variable if you're capable of doing it. Looks great for Allison, very controlled attempt. Excited to see where she goes for her next attempts since that was a meet PR tie. Up next we have Anna with a 60 kilo bench press. This will match the meet PR that she set just last weekend, although it won't count towards an official meet PR since she wasn't able to make a successful squat. She did decide, you know what, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna see what I can really do and test these maxes. Looks very easy for her and for her style of benching. So she's going to continue to test her maxes, and that'll give some good information for her and her coach going into her next off season of where her top end really is. And that'll be great for her, as well as getting more competition experience as well. Here comes Alexis, taking 62.5 kilos.
137 pounds.
Just over the quote-unquote one plate mark that you'd see in the gym. That's kind of like the first big milestone for a lot of women, just starting out with a bench press. And she's taking it for an opener. Her best bench is 62.5 kilos, which is what she has on the bar right now. Very excited to see how this moves. A little sticky off the chest. I have a feeling she just got a little out of position, and she'll retake that one for her second attempt. And I'm sure it will move so much better than that. Loading the bar for Christine McGuire now, 67.5 kilograms.
Bars ready for Christine McGuire. 148 pounds. Up next is Abby.
Her best bench is 154. So this is creeping right up to it. If she makes this attempt, I think 154 for her second will be a good jump, depending on how this moves. But since it's an opener, I imagine it'll be very much within her wheelhouse. Lots of control coming down to the chest, which makes for a very smooth press. I definitely think going for her meet PR in the second, a 5-kilo jump would not be out of the question. Great work, Christine. Abby is coming up next with a 160 on the bar. Her meet PR is 154 as well. So opening up with a 2.5-kilo PR right out of the gate, starting strong, showing everybody how much she has put on her total since her last meet in April. One thing that's interesting to note with the USA powerlifting rules for the bench press, some federations require that your head stay on the bench for the entirety of the bench press, but USA powerlifting does not require that. Most lifters still follow that, because it makes for a nice stable shelf. But in USA powerlifting, it's not required. The reason I bring that up is in those federations where your head needs to stay on the bench, a lot of times you have to have your hair positioned such that the chief referee can see. But doesn't matter for us, and so Abby's got the nice little space buns on top. And then we've got Lindsay coming up to take a 176-pound bench, an 80-kilo bench press, and she weighs less than 75 kilos. So over body weight bench press for the opener. Very impressive work for Lindsay. We'll see how it goes. We're 5 kilos below her meet PR for the opener. Oh, and she makes it look very light. You would not know that that is over body weight at the way that she benched it. It's a great lift. And on we have Jamie Smith with 80 kilos on the bar as well. Jamie's meet PR is 181, so 2.5 kilos above what's loaded on the bar for her first attempt. So I imagine she will break her meet PR today. Her coach, Devin, off in the wings, watching to see how this attempt moves. Nice and controlled on the way down to that high arch touch point. Presses it back up very smoothly for a good lift. I think she's definitely got 5 kilos. We'll see what Devin puts in. Now we have Lee opening with 242 pounds or 110 kilos. Quite the jump from the last attempt. But Lee's best is 275, but we'll see how close we can get to that today. Again, this is where those jumps between first and second and third are really important and are also highly variable based on the absolute load here. So we may see Lee take some bigger jumps compared to some of the other folks in his flight because he's lifting, in some cases, double. Quick down to the chest, smooth back up to the top. Great opener for Lee. Definitely room in the tank to get close to that 275 PR. I'm not sure if he set that PR in a full power meet or in a bench press only meet. Regardless, he's doing well today on the bench press. Up comes Matt with 259 on the bar. His best bench being 292. The best bench we saw in training from him, at least from what I gathered on the Instagram, was 275. So this is pretty close to the best that I saw from him in training on the 19th of March is when he posted that. So we'll see how much further he can go from his first. Some quick commands by our chief referee and 3 white lights. It's a good lift for Matt. We'll see what he goes up for the next one. And here comes Dennis. Closing out first attempts for Flight B with 308 pounds as a 75-kilo masters lifter. Explaining how he'd like the handoff from the center spotter. That's a great way to make sure that you get exactly the handoff that you need. Reduces some of the variability that sometimes can be seen when somebody you've never met before has to hand off 308 pounds right over your face. So great work by Dennis taking the time he needs to explain that so you can get the perfect handoff and the perfect first attempt. Good lift for Dennis. Back to the top of the order for Flight B. We're taking second attempts on bench now. Emily, 60 kilos for her second attempt. It's a 2.5 kilo jump from her previous attempt. Again, a lot of times when the absolute load comes into play, 2.5 kilos is a pretty significant percentage of 60. So I think that was a smart jump there. We'll see how much she has in the tank after this attempt of 132 pounds. Electing for the self unrack. to make sure that, you know, she doesn't have some of those variables that would impact her from a handoff. And sometimes some people train alone, so they don't have somebody available in the gym to be able to give them a handoff, so they can't practice that in training. A lot of times the self-unrack is a sure thing, just like that bench second attempt is a sure thing. Going up another 2.5 kilos for her third attempt, I think that's smart. We have Allison taking the platform for 62.5 kilos on her second attempt bench.
Let's go, Allison. You got this.
This is a 2.5 kilo jump from her last attempt, about 5 pounds-ish. And this will get her over that 135 milestone that a lot of people strive for in the gym, is that one plate lift.
Oh, yeah.
Makes it look smooth. Great work by Allison. We'll see what she goes up for her third attempt. Probably another 2.5 kilos if I had to guess.
Alexis, 137 pounds. The bar
Here comes
ready.
Alexis, retaking her 62.5 kilogram opener,
After Alexis comes Anna.
which is her meet PR. I think she just got a little out of position on that first attempt there. So if she takes us the extra second to make sure she's set up correctly, I think she'll get this with ease. This is where having that highly technical setup can sometimes be more of a burden, because if one thing is wrong, it can throw off your whole lift. And having this high arch and wide grip makes it very common, if your setup is wrong, to fail right off the chest like she did on her first attempt. But wishing her all the best for this attempt. I know she's got it. The way she came down a lot stronger, looks like a little bit of a misgroove on that one as well. All she has to do is come back and hit her on her third, and she'll stay in the meet. Up next, we have Anna. 143 pounds on the bar, which is 5 kilos above what she hit last weekend at the main state championships. She's able to grind it out, and that's a good lift. And this is a great example of why, you know, if you don't make all your squats and you quote unquote bomb out, as they say, it's a good way to keep going, to get excited, to change the narrative for yourself, to see where your one rep maxes truly are. That was great work by Anna. I can't wait to see how much she goes up on her next attempt. Here comes Christine with 72.5 kilos on the bar. This is 2.5 kilos above her meet best, giving herself some room to PR that even more in the third if she makes this. Lots of control coming down to the chest, which gave her a quick press command, a smooth press. Sometimes can make it hard to see, you know, how much is left in the tank if you're not familiar with how a lifter lifts. But judging by how her first attempt moved, I'd say she does have 2.5 kilos left in the tank, even though that moved a little slow. Some lifters just like to move with that additional control there. So we'll see what her handler puts in for the next attempt. We got Abby coming up with 77.5 kilos, which is a 5 kilo jump from her first attempt, which I think is very appropriate based on how I remember her first attempt moving. This is a 16-pound meet PR for Abby, should she make this. Very quick on the descent. Uses that elastic rebound to get out of the hole for the press for a good lift. I'm very interested to see what her handler puts in for her third attempt, because that was very smooth. Up next, we have Lindsay.
The bar's ready for Lindsay, 187 pounds.
Looking to lift 85 kilograms or 187 pounds. This is a 5-kilo jump from her previous lift.
Place last year at the Northeast Regionals.
She competed at Northeast Regionals last year, actually, in the summer. She got 4th place in her weight class. And that's for all of New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and New York. And you can see why, with how much weight she's lifting, with how much confidence she's lifting. She's doing very well so far.
Bar's ready, Jamie.
Up next, we have Jamie taking the same weight, 187, for her second attempt.
Come on, Jamie.
TSP Devon off in the wings to see how this moves and how much she can go up for her third attempt. Looking to see that she keeps her butt on the bench when she presses. Looks easy to me. I think a 5-kilo jump was a good jump. I mean, from first to second 5 kilos, I don't know. I might even go up 5 kilos for the third attempt, but we'll see what Mr. Devon puts in. We'll see if they'll play it safe. That was already a 2.5 kilo PR. So anything on top of that is the icing on the cake, really. Up next, we have Lee. Looking for a 260-pound bench press, and this is what we're talking about, where some of these jumps for the men may be bigger than the ones we see on the women's side. His opener was 242, and this is 260. So we are marching closer and closer towards that 275 best bench press that he's had. We'll see how this moves for him. Moved very well if you know Lee and you watch Lee. Very excited to see what he puts in for the third. Unsure if 7.5 kilos is there on the day, but certainly 5. We'll see what he puts in. It looks like Lee put in a 5-kilo jump, which I would feel comfortable with as well. Up next we have Matthew. If you guys are wondering how I'm seeing what these people are putting in for their next attempts before they show up on the screen, if you go to liftingcast.com and look for 2024 USA Powerlifting New Hampshire State Championships right there on the homepage, click on that and you can follow along with how the meet is going with me. You can see what people put in. Great lift by Matthew, 270 pounds for his second attempt. Not good for the referees. We will see what they say. Let's see. Good lift. Sorry, I misspoke. Now we have Dennis with 325 pounds on the bar. Best being 336. So I think his PR is within sight today. Took a 20-ish pound jump from his first to his second. I imagine he'll take at least a 10 between his second and his third, depending on how this moves for the Masters lifter. Massive bench press, 325 pounds. A little bit of a misgroove, unfortunately, but the spotters are there to make sure that he's okay. He's over here talking to his coach about how that went. It looks like he clipped the side of the rack when he unracked the bar, and that's what kind of set him off a little bit in his normal bar path for his descent and made it so that he couldn't get that lift up. Hopefully we'll see him retake that for his third attempt. Up next to start off the third attempt benches, we have Emily going for 137, 138 pounds. This is over 15 pounds above her meet PR. It's a 2.5 kilo jump from her previous attempt. which is definitely there on the day. Did she have another 2.5 kilos? We'll never know. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't. But she definitely had 62.5 on the day, and that 62.5 will go towards her total as we go into the deadlift. Here comes Alexis with 62.5 as well. She needs this to stay in the meet. There's a lot of things to think about when we think about the bench press. On top of the 3 commands, we have to think about our setup, keeping our upper back tight, leg drive through the legs. Everyone in the crowd is cheering for her here because she needs this lift. This does tie her meet PR should she get it. So hopefully she gets this. Gets a solid handoff. A little bit of a stutter on the start and fails off the chest again, unfortunately. So she does not get that lift. Her squats from earlier will not count towards official meet PRs, but hopefully she's able to take the next 20 minutes or so to regroup, and hopefully she stays in and tests her deadlift so that they can have more data points for her next training session. And here comes Allison. 2.5 kilo jump from her previous attempt of 62.5. So you got 65 on the bar now, 143 pounds. Lifts out of Odyssey Barbell Club. Her best bench is 132, so this is 5 kilos above her best bench. Looking to make a 5 kilo PR today on the 3rd attempt bench press. A little bit of a false start there. I think we heard the head rep say press instead of start. Sometimes that happens. But she was able to overcome it. Had a little bit of shakiness on the way up, but 2 white lights is all you need for an 11-pound PR for her on the day. Here comes Anna, out to get a huge gym PR for her bench press. 148 today on the bar. Very quick descent, grinds it out, waits for the rack command. And that's a good lift. So now she knows, 148 is her top end in comparison to the 132 she hit last weekend, and she can use this data point going into her next meet prep. And hopefully we can see even more from her, and hopefully we can see even more from deadlift for her later today. She's definitely smiling when she left the platform, that's for sure. Good to see her mood turn around a bit. Up next we have Christine with 75 kilos on the bar for her 3rd and final bench press attempt. Her PR is 154. So this is already 5 kilos above that, 11 pounds above that. Nice, slow and controlled on the way down to propel it back up to the top for a good lift. Great work by Christine. Big meet PR for her. I bet she's happy. Abby loading 181 on the bar for her 3rd attempt. Coach Kelly Fitmore at Kelly Fitmore in the corner over here, looking to see how this lift goes for her. This is almost 30 pounds above her meet PR at her 2nd meet. So she's certainly experiencing newbie gains for sure. Gino checking it out from the side. Press, 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 press. Grinding it through. And that's a good lift. Celebrating the 28-pound bench PR with the one and only Gino at Gino Powerlifting on Instagram. The powerlifting pirate, so to speak. Here comes Lindsay. Going to take 192 for her third bench press attempt. This is a massive bench press attempt for someone in the 75 kilo class. And 2.5 kilos above her best as well. Can she grind it? It looks like she can. Waits for the command. And those extra kilos are critical for her in the battle against Shannon for best lifter today. Up next, we have Jamie Smith with a 90 kilo bench press. Also a massive lift for her. She weighed in the 75 kilo weight class as well. Massive lift for these women today. 198 pounds. This is my weight class. I lift in the 90 kilo weight class, and I can only imagine benching this much 2 weight classes down. It's a 5 kilo jump as well from her second attempt, which she is seriously good for today. Makes it look easy. May have had a little more gas in the tank as well. Nearly 200 pounds for a bench press at 75 kilos body weight is insane. Great work, Jamie. Even Gino says, wow. Here we have Lee with 270 pounds on the bar, which is just 2.5 kilos short of his meet PR, but this is a New Hampshire state record attempt. Lee is one of those lifters who really can find that second gear to grind through, and you can see here he's found it. I think he was good for the 275 on the day. 270 state record for Lee. So one of the things you'll see here is his best ever meet bench press is 275, which he hit at the Arnold a few weekends ago in the Arnold Masters of Iron bench. That must have, that 270 was a state record for New Hampshire. But Lee's one of those lifters where you're lifting in the open or you're lifting in the Masters, and those are two different sets of records. So he just set one of those records today with the 270-pound bench press, which is very exciting for him. Here comes Matt with a 281-pound bench press. Really trying to fight through it, but not quite able to overcome that sticking point there. But a valiant effort nonetheless. He will take his 122 kilo bench press, his second attempt, towards his total. Here comes Dennis, bench pressing a 2 times bodyweight bench in the Master 75 division. 330 pounds, the heaviest bench press of the session this morning. Two and a half kilos shy of his best ever bench press. With Lil Wayne's Get Low music playing in the background. We'll see how he does today. Yeah, the snafu on his second attempt didn't bother him at all. More than 2 times his body weight is a good lift for his third attempt. Congratulations, Dennis. That concludes the bench press for this morning's Session 1 USA Powerlifting New Hampshire State Championships. We're going to take another 10-minute break while we set up for the deadlift. I will see you soon. All right, we will be starting the deadlifts off in 30 seconds. For those of you guys who are just joining us, my name is Liz Bernier. I'm a USA Powerlifting New Hampshire State referee, and I'll be commentating the deadlift portion of session 1 of the USA Powerlifting New Hampshire State Championships. Here we go, Marita starting us off. Deadlift 1 flight A of session 1 of the USA Powerlifting New Hampshire State Championships. Makes 132 look like lightweight. She's in the youth category. And just pulling 132 off the floor for an opener, making it look like it is an empty bar. She's excited. Little high kick off the platform there. And she lives out of Free State Barbell Club. Up next, we have Kimberly. This is Kimberly's third competition, and her best deadlift is 187 pounds. So opening up just 2.5 kilos shy of that at 181 or 82.5 kilos, she's setting herself up to probably hit a very substantial meet PR today on deadlift, as long as she makes this first opening deadlift. Adopting what we call a sumo stance. So you'll see 2 different types of deadlifts in this session today. Sumo, as Kimberly's demonstrating here, where her hands are between her feet and her feet are out wide. Some lifters choose to use this stance if they have strong adductors, strong hips, and it helps them reduce the range of motion. The other stance that you'll see that I believe Taryn uses, watched her lift last weekend at the USA Powerlifting Main State Championships. She's pulling conventional here, 237 pounds on the bar. You can see her feet are between her hands. And for lifters who have a very strong posterior chain and don't mind the extra range of motion, conventional can be a very good way to deadlift. It's a lot easier to grind out those heavier weights when you're in conventional. It's a little bit less technical, a little bit more brute force strength can be applied. But sumo is also a very valid way to deadlift. It's also my preferred style of deadlift, sumo. You see Marissa here taking 115 kilos for her opening attempt deadlift. It's 253 pounds. Her best deadlift is 264, so this is just 5 kilos shy of that. Makes it look like an empty bar. Let's have Amanda Carlisle put some weight on the bar for her for a second attempt. Amanda being her handler, one of the coaches, Odyssey Barbell Club. Odyssey is hosting this meet, the USA Powerlifting New Hampshire State Championships. Patricia's taking the platform for 120 kilos as her opener. This is a meet PR match, and it certainly won't be her meet PR for very much longer, because that looked like nothing at all. Posed no challenge. I hope her coach goes up at least 10 kilos for that second attempt, because she's probably got 20 to 30 kilos more in the day. Here comes Jordan. Same weight, 120 kilos, 264 pounds. a sumo deadlift style. Makes short work of that. 264 deadlift, and it's a good lift by the judges, 3 white lights. Here comes Danny, the 275-pound opener. You can see as Danny enters the platform here, once they call the bar loaded. The deadlift is the only event in powerlifting where you don't have to wear a t-shirt. So you see Danny took that t-shirt off so you can show off her guns, show off all the gains that she's been making in the gym. Adopting a sumo stance here for her 275-pound opener. Her best deadlift is 330 pounds, and we'll see how close she can get to that today. This is her first meet in a while, and she's been battling some sickness this off season. Unfortunately, not able to break the floor in the opener, but she has 2 more attempts to try. One thing about sumo is that it is a highly technical lift, and sometimes the weight can feel very heavy. It can feel like it's almost glued to the floor in sumo. Those first 2 inches are critical to make sure you get right because it's such a technical lift, whereas conventional, as Brittany is about to show you, with 286 pounds on the bar, a lot easier to get off the floor, and that's just due to the technicality of the sumo deadlift. Great lift by Brittany. Lots left in the tank there. Next, we'll see Nicole take the platform for 286 as well. Makes it look great. If you've been watching Nicole deadlift for any amount of time, you know she's also someone who can grind out a heavy deadlift. She can find another gear and she can really grind one out. Her best is 330. We'll see how close she can make it to that PR today. Up next, we have Melissa, sumo stance deadlifter. She's got very long legs, so this sumo stance is going to help her reduce some of that range of motion for sure. And you can see, yeah, a little bit slower off the floor and faster at lockout. That's pretty typical of a sumo stance and a sumo style of deadlifting. And that was a great example of how it can be slow off the floor, but speeds up throughout the rest of the lift. Great job by her. Catherine up next, taking a 336-pound opener, which is a sizable deadlift for an opener. Her meet PR is 303 pounds. She is opening 33 pounds above her meet PR in her second career meet. When I was talking about newbie gains earlier, this is what I'm talking about right here. And it looks like an empty bar, ladies and gentlemen. Cannot wait to see what Catherine loads up today. Lots of big things coming from her 33-pound PR. Up next, we have Shannon, lifting out of Free State Barbell Club. She's an Odyssey athlete. Her coach, Mr. Pizza Bloat himself, Eric Lapointe, watching on from the sidelines. Ranked number 1 going into the meet today. Deadlifts will be what determines whether she maintains this top spot or if one of her competitors who's tight on her heels overtakes it today. The opener, 336, moves with ease. And the judges agree it's a good lift. 3 white lights for Shannon. Brooke Reynolds, who had a little bit of a tough time on the bench press, but was able to overcome some of the challenges of her bench press unrack being a little finicky. Now coming up to open deadlift with 352 pounds. Only 20 pounds below her meet PR, so definitely looking to smash that today. Her best deadlift in training was 386 a couple weeks ago, and 352 moved like it was no issue at all. So would love to see her approach that 386 or north of that she hit in her meet prep. Back to the top of flight A. We have Marita coming up again with 137 pounds. The 2.5 kilo jump from her opener. At her very first powerlifting meet. The USA Powerlifting technical rulebook does allow youth lifters to use a lighter bar. However, Marita's using a full power bar, 45-pound bar or 20-kilo bar, and it's not an issue at all for her as she's able to get another good lift under her belt at her very first powerlifting meet. Great work by Marita. Following Marita, we have Kimberly taking 192 for her second deadlift. This is 2.5 kilos above her best deadlift of 187 pounds or 85 kilos. Like many of our competitors that we have on the platform today, her most recent meet was the Connecticut Fall Classic in September of 2023. As you can see on the display here, she is a guest lifter. All that means is that she's not a resident of the state of New Hampshire. Since we are at the New Hampshire State Championships, only New Hampshire residents are able to place in the standings, but we do allow lifters of any state to lift here, like Kim. A little slow off the floor, but you can see she was able to lock it out. A lot of back strength and a lot of leg strength there to get that through, and a very, very well controlled descent, putting the bar down. One of the things that we do look for on the deadlift as referees is that when the lifter lifts the bar, as they put the bar down, that they maintain control of the bar the entire way. And Kimberly, for sure, maintained control of the bar on the way down. We don't want lifters spiking the bar or dropping the bar from the top like you often see in CrossFit or Olympic weightlifting. We don't allow that here in powerlifting, just due to the safety of everyone involved. Taryn, over here taking 270 pounds for a ride. She told me before the deadlift started that she was feeling tired. She was feeling it, Mr. Krabs. She just competed last weekend. I don't see it on the platform. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope she puts a lot more weight on the bar to really see how much she's got in the tank, because she doesn't look tired to me. Up next, we have Marissa, bringing the intensity all day. Very hyped lifter. Very excited to be here, clearly, as she takes her second attempt for 270 pounds. This is 2.5 kilos above her best ever deadlift, and she's got a lot more in the tank today, folks. Making light work of that second attempt. Up next, we have Danny, who will be retaking 275. Hopefully on this attempt, she's able to make sure her positioning is good, and she's able to get this lift. The sumo deadlift, again, is one of those lifts where if just one thing is wrong in your setup, it could mean the end of your attempt. Let's see how Danny sets up and how this attempt moves for her this time. Looking stronger, still not there, not quite. She'll come back and take it again for her third attempt. Let's wish her luck. No, the bar is loaded for Patricia, taking 281 pounds for her second attempt. This is almost 20 pounds above her meet PR, and you wouldn't know it by the way it moved. Good lift for Patricia. Hopefully they add another 10 kilos to the bar, at least. 12 and a half maybe, we'll see. Here comes Jordan Levesque. 281 pounds on the bar, which is 2.5 kilos or 5 pounds above her best 275 deadlift. This is a 7.5 kilo jump from her first attempt, which is definitely appropriate. A little bit of trouble there at lockout, and it looks like she was just not able to hold it before getting the down command. So she got 3 red lights on that for dropping the bar before the down command. But the strength looks like it was there. So hopefully she at least retakes that, maybe adds 2.5 kilos just to get a little bit more onto her total. Sometimes when the weight is that light, it can move so fast that you lose your balance at the top. And that might have been what happened to her. Here comes Brittany with 297 pounds on the bar. This is 2.5 kilos below her meet best of 303 pounds. And makes it look smooth and easy. I remember in January of 2023, I had the opportunity to share the warm-up room with Brittany in the deadlift warm-up area specifically, and I was having a pretty bad meet that day, and she was able to make me feel better, make me feel happy, make me feel excited going into the deadlift. And you can just see that energy on the platform. Here now we have Nicole taking 142.5 or 314 pounds for her second attempt, which is pacing well for her to hit her meet PR on her second attempt. While that did move a little slower, as I mentioned earlier, Nicole is one of those people who can really grind out her third attempts. So we'll see how they choose to go for the second attempt. Here comes Melissa for a 319-pound deadlift, 145 kilos. This will match her meet PR, should she make it. And she's had a pretty long off season. She's PR'd her bench and her deadlift or her squat by significant amounts today. Let's see if she can do the same on deadlift. A little wobbling there at the lockout, probably just due to how quickly that bar moved off the floor. She's definitely good for at least another 2.5 to 5 kilos. We'll see what her coach puts in for her. But looking like a very good day for her all around. Here comes Catherine with a 352-pound deadlift. This is 50 pounds above her best deadlift ever. 50 pounds. If you guys can really fathom that, I cannot. But she's going to make this move just as easy as her opener, I guarantee it. As prophesized, as lifted. Great job, Catherine. 50-pound PR with more in the tank going into the third attempts. Here comes Shannon taking the same weight, 3 times body weight deadlift for the #1 ranked lifter of the day today. Her best deadlift is 369 pounds. We expect this to be a little bit slow off the floor, but we also know that the strength's there. Yep. Moved very quickly for something that's approaching her meet PR. So we'll see how many kilos we add for that third attempt there and how her competitors are going to challenge her third attempt. Up next, we have Brooke Reynolds at PowerBrookie on Instagram, going for 380 pounds on the deadlift for the day. Brooke's best deadlift in training that I saw was a 386 single on March 15th. This is very close to that, and this is well above her meet PR of 374 pounds. She's getting excited and hyped. She knows if she wants to hit what she wants to hit on the day, she needs to make this deadlift count, and she needs to make it move. And she does. Will she deadlift 400 pounds today? Only time will tell. But great attempt by Brooke. A little bit of a lifting cast snafu here as we try to get this sorted out. We are back to the top of the order for Flight A's deadlifts. We'll be kicking off the third attempt deadlifts in Flight A with Merida again, Merida, with 143 pounds. She's got the blues on the bar. With her previous 2 attempts, the yellow plates that she was lifting before, those are shorter than the blues, which means she had to get down further to reach the bar for those yellows. But now that she's got blues on the bar, She's bending down to the same height that everybody else is, and she's gonna rip this off the floor. We know it, and she does. Makes it look easy in her first career meet. She's hyped. She's excited. Everybody giving it up for Merida in the youth weight class, lifting among adults. Great job by her, and her parents are so proud. The bar is now loaded for Kimberly. 198 on the bar, 90 kilos. Kimberly's best deadlift is 187, so this is 11 pounds or 5 kilos above that. And she's hyped. She's ready. She wants it. And it's going to be a fight based on how her second moved, but she's ready for it. Lost her position a little bit off the floor there and wasn't quite able to overcome that, but it was a valiant effort nonetheless by Kimberly, and she will walk away with her second attempt deadlift of 87.5 to mark her total as 172.5 kilos. Here we have Jordan taking 127.5 again. She lost her balance a little bit on the second attempt, so she's retaking that now. Hopefully she's able to just maintain that foot pressure a little bit better and keep her lockout steady until she gets the down command. Unfortunately, not able to make it, just gassed out a little bit too much from the previous attempt, but she will take 120 kilograms from her first deadlift towards her total, which puts her at 325 kilos. Here comes Marissa with a 281-pound deadlift. Marissa's best deadlift is 264, so this is 15 pounds above that. And she's able to, no issue, lift that weight. 15-pound PR, no problem. Great work, Marissa. Totaling 297.5 kilos on the day. Great work by her. Here comes Taryn. Back-to-back meet weekends for Taryn. She's got 303 pounds loaded on the bar right now, which is 22 pounds above what she had for her third attempt deadlift just last weekend at the Maine State Championships. Will she get it? Oh, a little sticky lockout, but she got it. Let's see what the refs say. And it's a good lift for Taryn. She did what we thought wasn't possible. Massive PRs on her squat and her deadlift and matched her meet PR, competing 2 weekends in a row. Ladies and gentlemen, you've seen it here first. Taryn is finishing with a 322.5 kilo total. Great work by Taryn. 2 weekends in a row. On comes Patricia. 137.5 kilos on the bar. 303. We've broken the 300 mark for Patricia. And she makes it look easy as well. 44 almost pound PR for deadlift. Great work by Patricia. Up next, we have Brittany with 308 pounds on the bar for a 2.5 kilo or 5 pound meet PR. Let's go, Brittany. Let's see what you've got today. Locked in. Great wedge. And amazing finish by Brittany. Looks good to me. And the reps agree. Great finish by Brittany. 2.5 kilo meet PR for her. Her final total coming in at 342.5 kilograms. That's an 11-pound meet PR for Brittany on her total. Up next, we have Melissa attempting 325 pounds, which would be a 5-pound PR for her on the deadlift. Assuming the sumo stance, we expect this to be slow off the floor. And it is. Can she lock it out? Yes, she can. We'll see what the refs say. And it's a good lift, 2-1. 2 white lights is all you need, folks. It's a 5-pound meet PR for Melissa, bringing her total to 332.5 kilos. Massive total PR for Melissa there. Her best total in competition coming into today was 689 pounds, and she left today with a 733-pound total, ladies and gentlemen. That's a massive improvement since her last meet, which was the 2022 Odyssey Barbell Club Summer Open. Great third lift for great third meet and third lift for Melissa. Up next, we have Nicole. As you guys remember, Nicole is a veteran of the sport. Her second attempt of 314 pounds was definitely slower than her first, but definitely still had some gas in the tank. One of the things that she's going to want to be looking for going into this attempt is making sure she continues to hinge as she goes through this movement, making sure that she doesn't let the bar rest too much on her quads as it goes up her leg. 330, this is a PR match for her. All she has to do is remember to hinge and stick with it as it gets sticky at the lockout. Can she do it? She's locked it out, holding it. Did she get it? She did indeed. Meet PR match for Nicole. Moved better than her second attempt, I think. And she's happy. Next up, we have Shannon with a 363-pound deadlift, 165 kilos. This is 2.5 kilos shy of her best ever deadlift. Granted, she has only competed in USPA, and USPA uses a deadlift bar. For those of you guys who don't know, deadlift bars are bendier and thinner. So power bars, which is what we're using today, are harder for some people, but not for Shannon. Not for Shannon. She makes it look good. I think she would have been able to have the PR match on the day, but 363 was a very smart choice by her Odyssey Barbell coaches. She's happy. Great first USA powerlifting meet in the books. Great deadlift on a power bar for her. I'm sure she's ecstatic. Up next, we have Catherine. 380 pounds on the bar for Catherine. I'm laughing because this is phenomenal. This is a 77-pound meet PR for Catherine on the deadlift alone. And it was a little hard, but she got it. Let's see what the refs say. It's a good lift. Most people would be happy to add 77 pounds to their total. She added 77 pounds to her deadlift alone. A great day by Catherine in her second career meet. And here comes Miss Powerbrookie. 402 pounds loaded on the bar. She's excited. She's getting in the right mind space back here where you can't see her. I can, you can't. She's getting excited. She knows what this is all about. She knows she can do this. She's going to finish strong with this 402-pound deadlift. This girl is on fire. That's also the song playing by Alicia Keys in the background right now. She knows she can do this. She has to stick with it and makes it, unfortunately unable to hold on to the bar as her grip was slipping there. That will be a no lift for Brooke. But the strength was there, and she gave it her best effort. She'll leave with a total of 425 kilos, which is still insane for a 67.5 kilo lifter. Great work by Brooke. She was the last lifter of Flight A deadlifts. Now we are on to Flight B deadlifts. We're starting out with Alexis. Unfortunately, Alexis was not able to make a bench press attempt, but she did stay on to finish the deadlifts, which is valiant on her part, regrouped, and continuing to lift. This will be great for her training because she'll know where her 1 rep max is for deadlift when she's properly peaked. 253 pounds, moved very well, despite being a little bit nervous, I think. Still moved well. waiting for the lifting cast lights, but it was a good lift as we see now. Hopefully she makes a good 5 kilo jump to the next attempt. I think that's smart for sure. Here we have Christine McGuire taking the same weight, 115 kilos. And making it look easy. You see here she's got the conventional stance, slightly wider foot placement, slightly wider hand placement. You'll see that for lifters who adopt kind of more of a strongman style of deadlifting. But it can help people get down to the bar because it looks closer to the floor, or further from the floor than it actually is in the live stream here. So it's quite a way down for some of these lifters, and sometimes that wider stance can help. Here comes Anna, 276 pounds on the bar, another lifter who just competed last weekend at the USAPL Main State Championship. You blink and you miss it, folks. Makes her first deadlift look easy. Her PR is 292, not that far away from the 275 she just had, so I hope she loads that up for the second attempt and then goes for something big on the third. Here comes Allison with 303 pounds on the bar for her first deadlift. Her deadlift PR being 319. She's definitely setting herself up to hit that on her second attempt and maybe blow past it on her third. We'll see after this first how it moves. Nice work by Allison. Nice and controlled, slower tempo lifter, but still makes it look good. Emily Willard up next, opening with her meet PR of 142.5 kilograms or 314 pounds. And makes it look like an empty bar. That's 3 plates for those of us who lift in pounds in gyms, and she just made it look like 1. Great work by Emily. We'll see where she goes from there. Up next we have Abby, opening up with 341 pounds. Abby's best deadlift is 402. The heaviest deadlift I saw in training was a 380-pound attempt a couple weeks ago. We'll see how the peak affected how much she can put on the bar for today. But 341, definitely a very safe opener for her. And then we can see where she goes from there. A little hiccup off the floor, but she makes it go fast. And it's a good lift? A good lift by the judges. 2 white lights is all you need. Blue card from the center ref, which is typically for the deadlift. That means there was maybe some up and down motion. I'm assuming he saw that on the start of the deadlift, that little hiccup. Here comes Jamie Smith with 363 pounds on the bar for an opening deadlift. An opener, 364 pounds. And she makes it look so easy with a very narrow conventional stance. She's got a long way to travel with that 363, but she made it light work. Her best deadlift is 374, which I assume will load, and then some for the second attempt. Up next, we have Lindsay. Her best to deadlift is 424, so it's no surprise that she's opening already at 402. For those of you guys who weren't listening during the bench session, I mentioned she finished 4th place in her weight class at Northeast Regionals last summer. And you can see by this deadlift, this is why. Strong way to open with 402 pounds. With plenty left in the tank. Certainly leaving room to PR her deadlift today. After Lindsay, we have Lee Rogers, opening with 407 pounds, his best being 451. Lifting in the men's open 67.5 kilo weight class, although he is a master's lifter as well. He set a state record for the squat and the bench and has a very, what I'll call narrow sumo stance. Sometimes we call it frog stance, where his shins and his knee are like in a vertically straight line that's totally perpendicular to the floor, and his feet are a little bit closer than you see some of these other sumo pullers. Their stance is a little bit further apart. Great lift by Lee. We'll see how much he goes up for the second. Hoping at least 12.5 kilos for that jump. Now we have Dennis, 490 pounds, almost 500 pounds on the bar for an opener. For our Masters, 75 kilo lifter. And makes it certainly not look like 500 pounds almost. Looks a lot less than that, but easy for him. And now we have a true 500-pound pull for an opener for Matthew. Matthew's best deadlift is 529. So he's definitely setting himself up for a deadlift PR in the third attempt, should this attempt and his second move well. He's ready. He's excited. He knows he just needs to execute this to remain on the board and make it look good so he can add some weight for his second. And that he did. That he did. With the chicken leg socks and everything. He's having fun today. Back up to the top of the order for Flight B, we have Alexis Tonks. Went up to 270 for her second attempt. Alexis's best deadlift is 281 in competition, and that will remain her best deadlift in competition since she was unable to make a successful bench attempt today. But no harm in trying to beat that on the platform today to get the practice. She peaked for this meet, so why not go see if she can make it? And as long as this attempt moved well, I think she'll at least be able to meet or beat her best ever. A little sticky at lockout, but she's able to lock it out. She's got a very stiff leg deadlift form, which puts a lot of stress on the posterior chain, but she was able to lock it out. And we'll see what she goes for her third attempt. Up next, we have Christine McGuire opening with 275 pounds, which is 5 pounds above her meet best of 270 in her third meet. I imagine she'll make this look just as easy as her first. And she does. Great lift by Christine. Good for a 2.5 kilo meet PR in her second attempt. Up next, we have Anna. She did, as I anticipated, load her meet PR for this second attempt. So on her third, she can see where she really is, where her top end really is. And it's certainly not 292, which was the best that she lifted last weekend at the Main State Championships. So I'm hoping she shoots for something over 300 just to really test that one rep max today, although that lift will not count since she was not able to make a successful squat today. Allison up next. 319 on the bar, another lifter tying their meet PR on their second attempt. As we saw in the squat and the bench, Allison is a very controlled lifter, leveraging a little bit of tempo, as they say, to maintain control throughout the lift, and you'll see that as well in the deadlift here. Although this one was definitely a combination of tempo and sticking point, but she was able to grind that out for a good lift. 2 white lights. The one red light from the chief referee in the center was for lockout, so she wasn't totally locked out per his angle that he's able to see the platform from. And I might agree with that, even though my angle is different. Here comes Emily. Taking 341 pounds, 25 pounds, if I can do math correctly, above her meet PR. Certainly doesn't look like it's 25 pounds above her meet PR. Very good by Emily. Looking to add a significant amount of weight to her deadlift. Thanks to Mr. TSP Andy of Triumph. strength and performance. Here comes Abby. 369 on the bar for Abby. Her meet PR being 402. This is a 12.5 kilo jump from her first attempt, which moved very easily. Some Lorna Shore playing in the background. I don't know how you could not grind out a deadlift with Lorna Shore in the background, and she proved me right there. It's a great lift. 369 moved quite well for her. I hope she takes another big jump for her third attempt to get close to that meet PR of 402. Here comes Jamie with 386 pounds, 175 kilos. Jamie's meet PR is 374 pounds. This is 10 pounds above her meet PR, should she hit it. And she does, with ease, making light work of that 385 pounds. Up next, we have Lindsay Thompson going straight from 402 to 429, almost 430. Her meet PR is 424, so should she get this and should it move well, this will set her up for a massive PR on her third attempt. She also was right on the heels of Shannon as far as dots points go for this meet, so she's looking to pull into the winning position here, despite Shannon being in the flight above her. And that moved well. We'll see what she puts in for her third attempt, but that was a good lift. And a meet PR, 2.5 kilo meet PR. Up next, we have Lee. 441 pounds on the bar. His meet PR being 451, so slowly inching toward what could be a meet PR match today for Lee. Great work by Lee. Definitely some left there in the tank, especially if you know Lee. You know that he's not a stranger to grinding out third attempts. Very interested to see where they go for his third attempt deadlift. Up next, we have Dennis with 512 pounds on the bar for his second attempt. This is 17 pounds shy of his best ever deadlift. Should he make this look good, I imagine he'd try to meet that or break that for his third attempt. Strong setup, strong finish. Very well executed second attempt by Dennis. I imagine a meet PR is in the cards for him today. We'll see what his handler puts in for his next attempt. Closing out second attempt deadlifts, we have Matthew with 523 pounds on the bar, 237.5 kilos. This is 2.5 kilos shy of his best ever deadlift. Setting himself up for a PR deadlift. Chicken leg socks and all. Nicely executed by Matthew. Excited to see what PR he has for the third attempt. And here we have it, third attempt deadlifts, the final attempts for session 1 at the USAPL New Hampshire State Championship meet at the DoubleTree Hotel in Nashua, New Hampshire. 276 pounds on the bar for Alexis, which is just shy of her meet PR of 281. But she's turning around her day. She had a tough time on bench press today, and the fact that she's still coming close to a meet best on deadlift, that's impressive. Not everyone can turn around and do that. So it's great that she can, especially as a young lifter with a lot of road ahead of her. Very well executed, a sticky lockout, but she knows she's got it. Good lift for Alexis, strong finish, great way to turn around a tough day. Christine up next with 292 on the bar. This is a 22-pound meet PR for Christine. And she walks up to the platform with confidence. She knows she's got this. She knows it's a PR. Maybe she doesn't know how much. Maybe she doesn't know what's on the bar, but she knows she's got it. Oh, and unfortunately, not a good lift for her today. She just lost her balance a bit on the ascent there. But I'm sure with a little more exposure to heavy loads like that, she'll get that in no time. Here we have Anna doing exactly as I'd hoped, breaking the 300-pound barrier with this attempt selection, testing to see, is this her 1 rep max, or is there even more in the tank? And I would say there's even more in the tank, but good enough for today. She's happy. She's happy despite having a tough time on squats. She ended out the day with a great gym PR of 303 pounds. And now she'll have that data going into her next meet prep. Followed by Allison, 325 pounds on the bar. This will be a 2.5 kilo meet PR for her, should she make it. Definitely slow and sticky off the floor, but can she grind it out through the knees? She's locked it out, but what do the judges say? Unfortunately, it's a no lift. As you may have seen from this angle, there was a little bit of up and down motion where she got stuck there off the floor, and unfortunately, that is a no lift for Allison, but a valiant effort nonetheless, and a gym PR for her for sure. And she definitely will be getting that next time around. Here comes Emily Willard, 358 pounds on the bar. A whopping 44-pound deadlift PR for Emily, should she make it? Oh, aggression, locks it out. And it's a good lift for Emily. Wow, not a lot of people can say they put that much weight on the bar since their last competition, but Emily can. Great work for Emily. Abby is up next with a 391-pound deadlift third attempt. Bar is loaded for her. She knows she needs this. She wants it. She's getting the intensity. Internally, though, some lifters are like that. Hyped on the inside, calm on the outside. But she knows she can do this. And she does. Great lift by Abby, and the judges agree. Good lift for Abby. That brings her total to 425. Which is a 936-pound total, which is a big meet PR total for her. 40-pound-ish total PR. It's great for her in her second meet ever. Here comes Jamie with a 402-pound deadlift. This is a massive milestone, one that many people can never reach. And Jamie, as a 75-kilo lifter, is taking it today. Unfortunately, not quite able to get it off the ground today, but a valiant effort nonetheless. She will leave with 175 pounds going towards her total for a total of 475 kilos. Now we have Lindsay attempting a 200-kilo milestone deadlift, 440 pounds. A 16-pound PR should she make this. And this is a milestone lift for many lifters as well, especially one in the 75-kilo class. Unfortunately, not able to make it, but she will take 195 kilos towards her total, and we'll see where she places. Here comes Lee, loading up 205 kilos for another New Hampshire state record attempt. He's got the squat state record, he's got the bench state record. Can he get the New Hampshire state record? 451 pounds on the bar. This would match his meet PR as well. And he's got it for sure. Indeed. Looks like a good lift from my angle. He's tired, but he's made it. 3 for 3 on New Hampshire state records for Lee Rogers today. Great work by him. He's leaving tired, but he left it all on the platform, and that's what we love to see. Now the spotters and loaders are loading up 534 pounds for Dennis's third deadlift. The second to last deadlifter of session 1 of USAPL New Hampshire State Championships. This will be a 2.5 kilo PR for him if he can make this. Strong off the floor, but can he lock it out? Yes, he can. His grip hold. The judges say it's a good lift. Great work by Dennis. 2.5 kilo PR secured there for him. It's a big day for the Masters lifter, for sure. And we have 540 pounds on the bar for Matthew, which is an 11-pound PR should he make it. His goal for today being a 400 dots. We'll see after this if he makes it. Great work by Matthew. Great lift. The judges agree. Great work by all lifters. In session 1 of the USAPL New Hampshire State Championships, we'll now be taking a short break before we do awards for the women's lifters in session 1. We're starting out our medal ceremony now.
In the first category.
The first category is
The women's raw guest or
women's raw guest lifters. So all of the lifters who are out of the state of New Hampshire, this is the first category we'll be putting out awards for. Abby in third place for the women's guest lifters. Second place goes to Jamie Smith. And first place in the women's guest lifter division, this is all the lifters who live from outside of New Hampshire, is at Powerbrookie Brooke Reynolds. First place in the women's guest lifters. Now for the women's junior division. 56, first place is Shannon. For the women's junior 67 and a half kilo weight class, Jordan wins that weight class, the junior 67.5 division. Great work by Jordan today. And Melissa will be taking first place for the Masters M1 60 kilo division, I believe. M1 being Masters 1. Nicole takes first place for the women's raw M1 67 and a half kilo weight class. Now for the women's raw open. 60 kilo weight class, silver medal is for Danny. First meet back in a couple years, and second place is hers. A little confusion there. She did not make a successful deadlift, but she's got first place for coming back after having a baby, is what Gino's officially calling it. And first place will be for Melissa in the open 60 kilo category. For the women's raw open 67 and a half kilo weight class, we have Nicole again for first place. And Lindsay Thompson takes first place for the women's open 75 kilo weight class. And first place for the women's open 100 kilo weight class is Brittany. Followed up by Brittany's daughter. The winner of the women's youth category is Merida. And she's 11, so she's in the 12 to 13 youth category allegedly, but she's 11 years old.
Raw Masters 1, 67.5 kilo weight class with multiple state records today. How about a big round of applause for the gold medal winner, Lee Rogers?
So we're also giving out medals for the men's masters division this morning. As you can see, Lee Rogers won the 67.5 M1 masters division. No surprise here as he took home the New Hampshire state record for squat, bench, and deadlift.
75 kilo weight class in first.
And in first place for the men's masters M1 75 kilo weight class, none other than Dennis Jobin. And for the men's open 67.5 weight class, no surprise there, Lee again for the open and the masters, first place.
Men's raw open 75
And
kilo
as you
weight
can
class
expect for the men's open 75 kilo weight class, Matthew wins. Chicken leg socks on the platform and all. Congratulations, Matthew. Finally, we are going to give out the best overall lifter for the women. The best lifter for the men's will be given out after session 2, which starts at 3 p.m. today.
overall female lifter by formula.
Now, by dots, which is a coefficient that we can use to rank lifters. Regardless of weight class, the best lifter goes to Shannon, who was ranked as number 1, and she executed today to the best of her ability to get that best lifter banner today. Great work by Shannon in her first career USA Powerlifting meet. That concludes session 1 of the USA Powerlifting New Hampshire State Championships. It was my pleasure to be on the live stream with you guys today. Please tune in for session 2 of the USA Powerlifting New Hampshire State Championships starting at 3. We do have a separate live stream link going live for that at 3 p.m. You guys should be able to find that if you go to the Odyssey Barbell Club YouTube page and look for 2024 USA Powerlifting New Hampshire State Championships session 2 live stream video, which will be starting again at 3 p.m. Thank you so much and have a great Saturday.